Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a short prayer and a salute to our flag. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jessica, statement of publication, please.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held this 28th day of March 2022 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
June 4. Mar. Novak.
Here.
Noha.
Here.
Roberts.
At this time, I'll ask for Council President for the approval of prior minutes of the mayor and council.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior minutes, January 11th, 2022, receipt of bids, February 15th, 2022, receipt of bids, March 15th, 2022, receipt of bids, March 14th, 2022, regular and agenda sessions, and March 21st, 2022, budget workshop meeting.
Second.
Councilpersons Mar.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
At this time, we have one proclamation to be read into our minutes, and that is our Arbor Day Proclamation, which I will read in full at this time. Whereas the Borough of Saraville was named Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation in honor of its commitment to effectuate urban forestry management, and whereas Saraville obtained this recognition by meeting the program's 4 requirements: a tree board or department, a tree care ordinance, an annual community forestry budget, and an Arbor Day observation and proclamation. And whereas Tree City USA program was started in 1976 and is sponsored by the Arbor Day Foundation in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service and the National Association of State Foresters. And whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And now, therefore, I, Victoria Kilpatrick, Mayor of the Borough of Saraville, do hereby acknowledge that Arbor Day will be observed April 30th, 2021. And I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands to support our town's urban forestry program. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a motion to accept this proclamation?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
And do we need a formal roll call? Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Mar.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Is there any need for executive session?
No.
Thanks, Mr. Dupont. Old business, then we have public hearing on, no ordinances under old business. We have no appointments that I saw within our packet, so now we'll move right on to our new business, which is the introduction of following ordinances.
Ordinance number 11-22, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration to amend subsection 2-15.5 fees of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
At this time, I'll turn this over to Recreation Council President Marr.
Thank you. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on April
11th. Is there, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Mar.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Noha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we will move to the consent agenda resolutions. I will open to the public for any and all comments regarding the consent agenda resolutions only. You can please step up. And I do not see anybody here. Do you see anybody here raising hands? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, then I will entertain a motion to close the public portion and accept consent agenda resolutions.
I make a motion to close the public portion and approve the consent agenda resolutions.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Mar,
Yes.
Conti,
I got a question. So for Mike, do I need to abstain on 22-01507 on the bill list for Sayreville Athletic Association?
I would,
Okay, Bill.
yeah, since you're a member of that association.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then the 2022-80, I see it's a self-examination. Just want to make sure that we're not, it's just, you gave it to us, we're reviewing, we have an opportunity to, okay, just making sure. So I approve, yeah,
That, all that means is that we're not sending it to the state. To review. We're going to do our own. Sometimes send it to the state. It'll still go to the state and all, they will review it, but we do not have to send it down to them for their initial review. We meet all the qualifications and the criteria that we can do it ourselves in-house. It doesn't mean that we're passing this.
okay, that's, yeah, that's, I just want to make sure. Not that I thought we would, but just making sure. All right, so I approve all and I'll abstain for 22-01507.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Noha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we have a resolution to be read in full. Jessica?
Resolution number 2022-82, temporary emergency appropriation number 1. Whereas an emergency condition has arisen in the 2022 operating budgets with respect to additional costs prior to the adoption of the 1D NJSA 40A:44-20 provides for the creation of an emergency temporary appropriation. And whereas the total emergency temporary resolutions adopted in the 2022 pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 40A:4-20, including this resolution's totals $15,403,756.50. And now therefore it be resolved that in accordance with NJSA 40A:4-20, and an emergency temporary appropriation be and the same is hereby made for coronavirus local fiscal recovery grant, $2,973,956.50. Sorry, dollars and 50 cents.
Okay, at this point, this isn't open to the public for any comments on the resolution that was just read in full by our clerk. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public portion and accept the resolution.
I make a motion to close the public portion and accept the resolution.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Mar,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Noha,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, Borough Attorney, anything to add?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you
Oh, you
again.
know what, Mayor, just
Go.
know that we are working on the land swap contract. We prepared a draft contract for Board of Education to review. And we're
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's obviously what we've been discussing now for the last several months, I feel, in reference to the Board of Education, the bus transportation center and the land swap agreement that we were able to reach at the joint meeting. So thank you for that update and keep us posted. Moving on then, we will open to the public for any and all comments. Please feel free to either press star 9 if you are virtual or come up to the microphone. You will notice that we have catapulted into the 21st century here with dual television screens. So hopefully we will be able to hear our virtual members, and everybody will be able to see and hear the elected officials up here better. So Mr. Duffy,
Let's hope no one steals the TVs.
let's. We'll lock
Okay,
them.
Robert Duffy, 111 Merritt Avenue. I brought some material with me tonight. I was here last meeting, but Mr. Frankel wasn't here, and I wanted him here so I can defend myself. Okay? Talking to the council, not to the professionals. February 28th meeting, I asked a few questions about how we don't have a director of public works. and you all told me that you voted on not having one. You also, I didn't ask, I said at the end of my talk, I said that your manager was not certified. Did not mention any names. So I would like to pass out some stuff to the council so you can see it. Okay. That, what you're gonna see there is an email the next day from Mr. Frankel. And it wasn't a love letter. So I just wanted to let you know that I went to his office the same day to give him the proof that I had for what I said. I had to wait 10 minutes to see him. I see him, I go in his office. First words out of his mouth, I have no time for you. And I said, here we go again. He got very excited, starting threatening me that he's calling the cops. Now, I'm a citizen of this town. There should be no way he has the right to threaten me or 44 other thousand people in this town. No way. Okay? But I left his office, but I said, I want you to read the proof I got from Borough Hall that that certificate wasn't certified. Here. This is what I got from the township. Look at the date. That was from the secretary. And this is the certification that came with that paper. And I just want you to look at the date of the letter and the date of the certification.
So in other words, despite this individual being certified now, this is what you had to go on.
Right.
So that's why
That's what I want.
I get it.
Okay? At that time, he wasn't certified. That's why I said what I said here. Okay? So now, I told Mr. Frankel, I'll see you at the meeting, because I don't want to get arrested staying in his office to defend myself. Now, the first evidence I gave you was the email from Mr. Frankel. This came with that email. If you notice, certification, if that is true, he's still not certified. Look at the date. Valid 12/31/22 to 12/31/25. We ain't even in December yet. But that came from him. That came from Mr. Frankel. Okay? For a man in his position and his salary to threaten me is not a right person. He doesn't have an ethic bone in his body. He is here to destroy this town. $155,000 a year. I'm sorry, 155,120 a year. And I'm afraid if my wife goes up to that town hall and he don't like her, he's going to threaten her. or anybody, anybody in this town. He has no right for that. And he should know, he should have looked at this before he got it out. I know it's a mistake, but it should have stopped at him. Okay? I got some more. Now, and I'm doing this basically so you don't have to do any research. This is ordinance for the township. Now I'll talk to Mr. Frankel. You ready for me, Mr. Frankel? Let me tell you something. You have no right to do anything. You get in your car, come to this town, park that car downstairs, and come into this building. I pay your salary, like everybody else says. But you know what else I pay for? When you put that switch on in your room, the lights go on. When you put that piece of paper in the printer, that's mine. And when you go to the bathroom, that soap and toilet paper is mine. I paid for it. Not you, because you don't live in this town. You don't give nothing to this town. Now, telling you, the ordinance says you only need 4 votes. Okay? And you just know how to do that. Making not an amendment. You make a motion, you second it, and you only need 4 votes. He's gone. You keep him, he's making you people look bad. I'm telling you that. I don't know how many other people he threatened, because it came right out of his mouth. He had to do it before, but he came up the wrong guy. So you just need to make a motion, second it, and get 4 votes. Now, this will back you up. 2-6.1, cancellation of a position. And this is under business administrator. The administrator shall devote full time to the interest of the borough and shall not hold any other employment. Let's ask Mr. Frankel, where's he get $66,000 at his other job? Okay, works for the county, gets paid $66,000 and $155,000. That's $221,000. That's a few shekels in my book. I can't even match that. Number 2, operation in accordance with the policies established by the mayor and borough council. Okay? It's in your hands. Municipal court. I'm going to tell you a little, not history, I'm going to tell you how a thief thinks. We just had a problem in the municipal court. That person got that job. Not on their own, they got that job. After a little while, you see what's going on, who does this, who does that, and all of a sudden, there's an opportunity. And that opportunity is to take, because someone's not watching. Can't blame the next person, you got to blame the head, the top. And who is supposed to be responsible for that? Mr. Frankel. A thief sees opportunity. A thief don't look to get caught. Monitors the activities of departments. That was one of my things. Okay? So the business administrator shall receive as compensation to his service an annual salary should be fixed in accordance with the provision of the ordinance governing salaries. Just Saraville's, not the county. So I'm just gonna ask and hope that you go into a quorum without your professionals and think about it. You only need 4 votes and he's gone because he don't have the guts to resign. You're not supposed to have 2 jobs. And he should know that. He's been here, what, 9 years, 8 years, 2 years? If he's here 1 year more, that's not right. He knows he's breaking the ordinance. You break an ordinance, what'll happen to you? Giving this guy carte blanche. Well, thank you for your time, but I'm gonna sit on this. And if I see nothing done, you're gonna hear from me again and again and again. I'm gonna be the biggest cop in this town. Thank you very much, council and mayor, for giving me the opportunity to say it. But I think you should do the right thing because you've seen what's going on in this town. We have 2 new elected council people. Nobody knew anything about them. Boom, they get in. Your mayor seen that and scolded everybody. We need to turn around this town and go right. We don't need those political hacks, those big boys from New Brunswick, the county, they dump everything in this town. We need to get our town back. And you just can do it because you're women here too. Look at you. This month, this is your month. Don't let this guy get away.
I like to think every month is our month, but I appreciate March.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody from the public? Anybody else come on up. I do have a hand virtually too. Don't let me forget.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, professionals. I just want to publicly thank Sergeant Brill for working on that problem on Johnson's Lane. He's been on it and we really appreciate it. The residents really appreciate it. And I wanted to share another experience I had with him, with Mr. Samuels, actually. I met Mr. Samuels on Friday with Councilwoman Roberts, and we had the opportunity to find out more about pilot programs. And I'll tell you, we were enlightened. What a boss you have. He's an amazing man. This big 5-letter word, pilot program, a 5-letter acronym, actually, it gets tossed around here quite a bit. And it's a very important thing, as I'm sure we all know up here, and how it can help our town and how it can ease the tax burden potentially by getting pilot programs, in the town. So we do a lot of outreach, community outreach within the town. And I did ask Mr. Samuels if he would do it. And I asked him if we would like to join with the Democrats. As you know, I am the GOP chairman. So I had asked the Democratic chairman if he would be interested in hosting an event, a public outreach event for the town to do a pilot program type of presentation.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, again, division, if we start in our own backyards and come together, this is not a partisan issue. This is an issue that affects every single one of us. So, so we're doing it. We're looking at the senior center, and the Democrats and Republicans are going to host an event on pilot programs. And Mr. Samuels would like to bring in a financial person as well, so we can see both aspects of it and what it can do for us in Saraville, and better yet, our tax pockets. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Very good. A long time ago, when I became a council person, my daughter didn't understand the whole concept of red and blue and Democrats and Republicans. And she very innocently said, "Mom, why do we have to have two parties?" And I said, "That's a great question." And she says, "Why can't we have a purple party?" And I said, "I love purples." And I said, "Why purple?" She said, "Red and blue combined makes purple." And I said, "Wouldn't that be the most amazing thing, not just here in Saraville, but just within the country?" And I really do believe that you're starting to see that happen here. And I would much rather Saraville be a front runner in putting party politics aside when it comes to municipal government, because municipal government is much different than federal, state, and beyond. This is your everyday lives. The decisions that we make up here are your day-to-day life things. And we shouldn't be separating into parties. We should be coming together for over 45,000 residents now. So that's exciting news. And I think we're slowly starting to chip away at that. And I'm excited to stand up here, sit up here and be a part of that process. So that's really impressive.
I concur, Mayor. I also have really acknowledged the communication between both parties lately within the past year. Same goes with the Board of Education. I think
Easy.
communication across the board has been wonderful, and I'd like to see it move in that forward trajectory. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, it's crazy. Unbelievable. So with that, thank you, Karen. I did see a couple of other people starting to come up. So it is March. I'm gonna give it to the ladies. Miss Kilcummins, it's been a while. Come on. It looks good.
Boy, this is
It's been a long
new for
time.
me. My name is Barbara Kilcummins, for the people that don't know me. I reside at 22 Schmidt Street. And I believe I haven't been to a council meeting in 4 years, at least. And I don't like Zoom, so I'm so happy you opened it up again to
Yes.
the public. There's several things. My main thing is people contact me all the time. And one of the biggest gripes is the conditions of this community. It is actually filthy. The litter, no matter where you go, Bordentown Avenue, everywhere. I miss Stanley Draw with his conservation group, and he had a group of children that used to come in, and they would plant trees, take care of Julian Capic Park, and clean up the town. All I see is a sea of white pickup trucks. I know every year you add more and more pickup trucks, but nobody stops to pick up a tire on Journey Mill Road or Bordentown Avenue, wherever. The garbage, the litter, nothing. My children come back. They live out of town. One down the shore, one in Millstone. And they are so upset when they come back and they say they can't believe what has happened to our town and the condition of our town. Be it code enforcement, be it DPW to clean up. Nothing. I mentioned to Mr. Frankel, now on Journey Mill Road, apparently a truck overturned and there is granite, whatever. Pardon me? It's done?
It's gone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finally, it took what, more than 4 months?
There was a little bit of that was a little bit of a conundrum for us because we were kind of warring back and forth with the people that were responsible for cleaning it up. And there was a little bit of a concern with litigation. There was on the private property, we were getting threatened a bit. So it took a little bit of arguing back and forth before we finally said, well, we're gonna take matters into our own hands anyway. But that was part of the
I'm
issue.
sorry, Mayor. A truck overturns on many highways, many roads. You take a photograph of it, you clean it up immediately. I mean, that
little
was an
more.
eyesore for how long? More than 4 months to
I
get
agree.
cleaned up?
I agree.
But this is continuous in this community. It seems like My biggest gripe is no one has pride. You expend a lot of money on, say, the Riverfront Park, Sarah and Fisher, Buchanan Park, whatever you want to call it, down at River Road. They come in, you spend a lot of money, you landscape it, you have outside people trying to cut it and all. Nothing is ever maintained. The conditions of the shrubs, the light is broken. I mean, it's just a disgrace. You drive through town. And being a senior, when you have time and I'm visiting somebody, I take notice and I'm driving through and everywhere. What a mess. Now, Mayor, you live in my community,
I'm
just a
right there
block
with
away.
you. Yep.
I come down, if you come down Pulaski Avenue, look at the senior building. We have shades, we have blinds. Someone told me the Board of Education stores something up on the 3rd floor, and it's the blinds aren't pulled down. You see all the material there. In the addition from the school to the addition on the side, 2 windows are broken, and I'm watching it to see how long, like over a month, a piece of cardboard in the broken window. When was the last time those windows were ever washed? It's budget time. You are spending money. You have a beautiful park here for the leprechauns, a $2 million surf field that you contributed, plus what the county chipped in. What have you people given to the seniors of this community? And I just wanted to let you know right now, I'm not a member and never have been of the senior organizations. I go in there to vote and I just can't get over the condition. Now, I recall all the way back, let me see, I'm showing my age, 1982, 1983, when John Chernikowski bought from the Board of Education for $1 when they were closing the school. If you go into the bathrooms, those poor seniors have to sit on the floor. Their elementary toilets still there from the elementary classrooms. So what have you people expended and given to the seniors? And believe me, they've paid taxes for many years and contributed to this town. And you give them absolutely nothing. What do you give them? A pittance? $2,000, $5,000 for their recreation or whatever? Nothing. Plus the conditions of it, it's a disgrace. It really is. And I feel bad for them. When I talk to them and everything else, and I mean, it's growing. They have a place to go. It's great. The county operates your food, Meals on Wheels from there. You have your food pantry there. There's many things that go on in that building. And what do you give them? Nothing. A pittance. How much money is in that budget? Hardly anything. It's a disgrace. It really is.
Mayor, did you want to add to that? I know I looked over at you, or no?
I know that most of the clubs, because they're really increasing in size, that there's more money.
Well, that's the Thursday Club. I know everybody that runs. The whole thing is, I know everybody that belongs to all these clubs. I know the officers, I speak to them and everything else. And they tell me how much they expend. And I encourage the Thursday Club to go to Wayne, who was the treasurer then, to try to get an increase in the amount of money, because they had more than double the amount that the other clubs had. It wasn't fair.
That's why, Mayor, you're on the Office on Aging, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Barbara, both Thursday and Tuesday club asked for more money, and they got everything that they did yesterday.
They asked for a pittance. What did they ask for? What did he give them? $5,000? But they have to ask? That's sad. That is really sad that they have to come to you to ask for a little bit of money for their entertainment or whatever. How much do you give recreation? How much do you give to the children? Not that I'm wrong, we have 29 parks. How much do you expend in the budgets every year, which I think is ridiculous to have that many parks all over town and to spend that kind of money. And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm an advocate for the seniors and I don't even belong.
So just to touch on,
Go ahead.
I know within the past year, we've done some improvements. We approved a new bus. We ordered new windows, a new awning. I think we're over $200,000 over the past year that have gone back into the senior center. As far as children's sports, parents pay for that. I pay over $150 per child per sport for anything that they do. But the recreation does give back in referee fees or things they take to take care
I'm
of the
well aware of
fields.
that. This is more, I've been around this thing. You could ask everybody here for more than 35 years. I've been coming to council meetings, involved in the
I
community.
remember
and
when
know
I
what's
came,
going on.
I remember when I used to come, you were here as well.
Purifiers.
Air purifiers come COVID. We just created a community garden with the hopes of attracting seniors to
We had
that.
that once before.
So we'll
No, it was in front of the community. It's just that, I don't know. What I want is to restore, and this is my bottom line. I love this town. I love the people in it. I've never waned from it, had an opportunity to move and haven't. I'm too rooted in this community with my ancestors, and I can go on and tell you about my great-grandmother's brother who started the fire department and first aid from everything. The Historical Society was started in my kitchen table. And when I wanted to save, they saved the water tower, but I wanted a kiln to how the bricks were made that New York was built on. So Sayreville has a lot to be proud of, an awful lot to be proud of with the historic, with everything here. And all I wanted is just to restore it. I want to be proud of my community, Main Street, when you come down and see it, whatever. And just clean it up, plant flowers, take on a council person to take on to beautify the town.
That's
It's not so
Michelle.
hard.
That's Michelle.
It actually is really hard. I try very hard and it's
I
not,
know
I've
Stanley
learned that
Drawl
it's
did.
not easy. Government is a very slow
When they
moving
started
machine.
graffiti, this is another example. When I don't know these young folks where they like to draw. So they're drawing defacing property, defacing personal property, be it fences, whatever. I told them to increase the fines. And Stanley Drawl was on the council at the time, and he happened to go to California, and he purchased a cleaning, correct me if I'm wrong, to clean up graffiti. The surrounding communities borrowed it from us, and it sort of stopped. So you didn't see that much graffiti. I was just so upset when they started everywhere, when they started private property. Bad enough it's under the trestles of the parkway and everything else. But it gives the community a bad look, a bad flavor, and we don't want that. With that, and getting back,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you that, not counting salaries, not counting any maintenance on the building, it's there for other departments. The Office on Aging got $205,000 this year. And recreational, nothing.
well, can you buy blinds that are all alike? I mean, upstairs is blinds, then I have shades, then I have something else, and they don't even pull them down. Can you buy toilets that a senior doesn't have to sit on the floor?
We've talked about the bathrooms a lot already.
Cut me a break. I mean, and like I told you, I only go there to vote. I'm in there like twice a year to vote, and I don't even, and when I see it, I'm just like so depressed. Another thing, just a pet peeve, and I brought this up with Mr. Frankel when I went to him about, you didn't have someone to clean or a janitor. The seniors had to go rent the American Legion to have a meeting. Now that's sad. There was no janitor, so several months, I believe, how many months? 3 months? Yeah, 3, maybe 3, regardless. And I said, I hope that they reimburse the Historical Society to have to pay to have a meeting out of because there was no janitor. I mean, when I heard that, I said, what is town coming to? And I mean, and believe it or not, the Historical Society is important to this town. It really is. That's your history. Never go back from where you came
Well,
in the
we're-
history of this town.
We're excited because for the first time ever in over a decade, more than a decade, we actually officially appointed our first historian of Saraville. So that is something that I don't think anyone on this council would argue with you about. I hope that you realize that you are preaching, I think, to the choir here. I'm very proud of this town. I'm very proud of having lived here my whole life, graduated from here, and to sit in this chair, as I'm sure everybody up here.
Well, fine,
It's good.
Mayor, but please, actions speak louder than words. And it's visible. You look around this town. I mean, we had a beautiful Main Street of me growing up. And I remember Bonnie Brady with the middle school when she would ask us seniors to come and talk to the children and tell them how it was, what Saraville was like growing up. This was a beautiful community. We had a movie house. We had we had everything. You could walk down Main Street and purchase anything. I know times are gone. And then we got the strip malls, and now the strip malls are gone.
Yeah,
But,
nothing stays the
and it's
same.
even, I'm gonna take this up with Mr. Mick, the code enforcement. I go in and I'll buy a lottery ticket at the Winding
Winding River.
Winding River Mall there. The bushes burnt down. They never cleaned it up and moved it for almost over a year. The maintenance there is horrible. The filth, the garbage, branches. Here you have the water tower with a plaque and a bench, and everything around it is a mess. Do yourself a favor and just go visit these places that I said, and it's a shame. And I don't want to be ashamed of my community.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Barbara.
Mr. Frankel, I know I saw on the agenda that our correction facility, our prisoners came back to do some garbage pickup on the cleanups, yeah.
We now have an arrangement, yes.
And has that started yet?
No, it has
It
not.
hasn't. So a lot of it over the past few years is because we lost that program
It's one of the-
due to COVID.
Correct.
I did notice at Bordentown, and I did drive by this weekend, and I did notice that Bordentown is collecting a lot of garbage again by that professional building that we talked about last time. And also Mayor, we've been talking about the banners, putting up banners on Main Street. So I think hopefully that adds to the aesthetic that's lacking. That
I do
still kind of
have,
feels-
Dan was able to provide me with, and I just wrote on it a little bit, some notes. But we have a lengthy packet, so I'll share that with you also, and also share it with Ms. Beegan so that they can understand all of the things that are surrounding that. And we'll take a look at that and see what we can and can't do. We still have to get the approvals though from JCP&L. That's our big hurdle. And the locations, if they do in fact permit us to do that. That's really our biggest hurdle with it. I love the idea. That's why I brought it here.
Right.
I was excited when the board of it, I want to say Ms. Beegan and I think Coach Sefeli as well. I think it was their kind of idea. And they brought it over to me. I brought it to you guys. So now it's a matter of seeing what we can do in order to enable them to get the banners that they want and give them the space to do it.
Yeah.
So hopefully JCP&L won't be that much of a hurdle there, but I know Mayor, I say that lovingly. It might not be in the desired location that they want, but I think any place within the town will add to that beautification and pride that we have.
So speaking of beautification, I'm always taking pictures and sending it to Phil for every day. He has guys with a graffiti removal machine every day. Every time, we bring this up, the conversation always comes up of low manpower. We don't have enough staff to just drive around looking for things. Unfortunately, they only are able to take care of what is being brought to their attention. So I do ask everyone to help. It's a group effort, community effort. When you do see something, report it. We have that link online on our website. Whenever you see something, you can let us know. And once someone is known, once someone is becomes aware of the situation, it's taken care of. So I think we all just have to help each other out because our staff is at a low number. The other thing that I wanted to mention, speaking of beautification, we talked about, I was going to wait until my minutes later, but the murals that we talked about down at Kennedy Park, I spoke to our artist and she works with Mr. Boutzelet's wife, and they had brought up a good point, is that they wouldn't think that a veterans memorial would be appropriate on a wall ball wall because you don't want to be throwing balls at the wall. It would be sacrilegious.
Very good
She
point.
did go down to Kennedy Park and she thought that the best location actually would be the side of the bathroom building that actually reflects off of that pond. And then when you drive into Kennedy Park, it would be a beautiful welcoming as you enter. I ran it by Mr. Frankel. He didn't see a problem with it. So if the council also doesn't see a problem with it, I think that would be the best spot.
I think that sounds like a great idea, although there is a man over there in the back that shall remain nameless. He's
Yeah.
kind of hidden. He's a great guy to help us
Yep.
move forward with that.
We've been in communication, yes.
Perfect. I love that idea. That's really a fantastic idea. And maybe we can,
No,
no, not at all.
none.
But I would like to still see maybe that Walpole mural
And that could be the
represents something. the
Cerebral
bomber-
logo.
The logo,
Yeah.
not the bomber logo, but our
Yeah, yeah.
logo,
Yep,
which was beautifully done and
Agreed.
very colorful. So I love that.
agreed.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Just one more thing. Jersey Central is in the process every year of cleaning up vegetation, their high tension wires or
Yes.
whatever. What I've experienced, and you know, the entrance into our town, into our street, they spray. What they sprayed the last time was shrubs to try to, and they were shrubs in front of the the towers there. What I have noticed in Batista, the entrance even to our town, I brought this up to Mr. Frankel one time because I was so upset. I said that they were spraying. They were spraying to kill the vegetation. That looked horrible. They couldn't be bothered cutting it, so they sprayed it. So it was dead, and we had to tolerate it and put up with it. And the gentleman apparently retired that I was always in connection with at Jersey Central, because he gave me his card and told me to talk to him anytime. He's not there anymore. So whoever replaced him, if you could please speak to him and tell him not to spray. Not to spray. And first of all, it's unhealthy, whatever. And this was all everywhere where there were towers or high tension wires or in the percent, and it was just sprayed. Okay,
Thank you. Thanks, Barbara. All right. We'll continue with the public portion, but before I call up for seconds, I have a couple of people that are still waiting online and a few people that haven't spoken yet. So I'm gonna bring up our, hold on. All right. Sometimes I can't see on that side, so come on up, Dave. PBA president, go ahead.
Dave Savilli, Cerebral PBA president, Cerebral resident. Couple things. One is the hazard pay. Just wanted to know where we're at with that.
I'll turn that to the council because there was a discussion on that for certain. Council President, did you want to cover that or from our last meeting and where we are, where the council is in reference to that hazard pay?
Sure, we are in our preliminary meetings with the budget, and nothing has been decided yet. We're still in discussion.
But the hazard pay has nothing to do with the budget, right? Isn't that the American Relief?
We were told that it can be part of the budget. Yes,
Or maybe we'll go over to Denise with that one. I like the money, the money side goes on to the left.
Coronavirus money can be used to balance the budget for any revenues that we had lost revenue last year and everything. And all that money can be used to balance this year's budget. So I believe the finance committee, along with the council, has been in discussion of how and when and why and what to do. So it has not been finalized yet as to
Okay.
what we are going to do, but
Is that-
it does definitely can be used for that. And you know about the other things, broadband and infrastructure and things of that nature.
Right, I know a rec center was talked about with that money, but, so can we, submit the money we spent during COVID out of our own pockets? We had talked about it at one of the meetings here before. Myself, I spent over.
Oh, I know what you're
$1,000.
saying. You
I
mean
spent over
what the,
$1,000 of buying stuff.
they're saying the money that they expended on an individual basis out of pocket in reference to,
I understand. I will speak with the
Our-
professional that we hired.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of term.
I will say this, Dave, the last, it was 2 meetings back, we did exactly what the council said that they were going to do. We brought our specialist in that was, and let me tell you, most knowledgeable. It was very informative, broke down and confirmed for us exactly what, so the council understood what could be expended, how premium pay, in essence, that's what it's deemed as, or hazard pay. So that, I think, opened up everybody's eyes to what they were capable of giving out and to whom it would be, in addition to not just the PBA, but all of the employees within the borough that worked during that time. It was enlightening. They also let us know what other new rules were in fact allowing now that money to be used for. So it was my understanding that the council was going to continue to look at that. And also, I believe, and I don't want to misspeak, but I believe that one of the things that the council was looking at was this round of budget asks, because some of that money can be used for budget asks. I'll be honest with you, that money was not discussed as far as a community center goes. That's totally off the table, because that's not something that I think we would be looking at to do. I think more importantly, they were looking at big budget items in reference to capital improvement projects, specifically with Mary, I think water, because you're head of water now. Or finance, I'm sorry, finance. That's right, Donna's on water. I got you. So I know that those were 2 areas that the council was very interested in looking at as well.
Okay, so we might as well just start submitting reimbursements and see how that goes at this point, right?
Listen, I agree with Denise, submit and then let her turn around and
If you wanna
hand that
submit,
over.
Send me an email with everything.
Okay.
And then actually that will be great, because then I can forward it right to the advisor and he'll give me guidance as to yes, yay or nay.
Yeah.
That'd be
That's the
perfect.
smartest thing to do, Dave, is just submit it and then that way we can turn it over to him. Yeah, I would. That's what I would do, Dave.
And my other thing was the manpower in the police department. I've heard people come up here and saying they can't believe that we only have 4 guys working at a time. We have 4 guys, usually Friday and Saturday night, we have 5. We all read the same thing with the census.
Yep.
Saraville went up 6% or something to 45,000. We just recently had academy class start in January to Cape May Academy, which we didn't hire anybody.
Yep.
And I understand, didn't we have $1 million grant not that long ago to add to our? police
Was it
department?
last year or the year before the $1 million that we're able to, yep.
We haven't spent it. And we need-
No, we did. We spent some of it. We
How
spent
much
some
did
of
we
it.
spend, do we know?
That would be, how much did we
Eight.
spend of the $1 million grant that we got for the hiring of the,
We only hired the 3 officers, so.
the 3?
But I believe the grant is,
Yeah.
Dropped out.
right, and I believe the grant covers, 8 officers.
Yeah.
So we currently have just about, touched the iceberg on the amount of money.
Right, and we're losing 3 this year too, so, and Sure, Mayor. Sure.
We don't lose that grant if we let this amount fall to us. Because
No.
in the past, we
Yes.
had to maintain a certain
No.
level. and we lost
No,
that.
no, this is a reimbursable grant and everything, so no.
Yeah. Yeah, we did try for the 5,
right,
which then we would have,
Five.
5 officers
Last-
was that
last August.
last
But They're
August,
still
yeah,
not working yet. They're still in training.
yeah.
And we just had a class in January. We didn't hire anybody.
Yeah, do we have did the chief send over a list to hire?
It's on your agenda
Yeah, it's
tonight.
on our agenda tonight, that's right.
But like,
I know, we missed the whole.
that
Yeah.
class is in August. This time next year, they're still not working. Right.
Yeah.
It's January and August.
So it's not that the chief asked to be denied.
I
Yeah.
don't know what he asked for.
Yeah, that, listen, when he sends it, we're ready to go. We agree. I don't think anybody here would argue that we need the manpower. We know that I'm certain each year we anticipate retirees as well,
We
which
have at
will,
least 3 this year.
yeah, that's what I had heard. I didn't, until the paper goes through
Right,
officially,
well,
but
They
that's,
notified the chief, so I don't know. if
yeah.
it should be up here.
So I'm very cognizant of that and very concerned, and based on the recommendations of the chief and when he files that, I don't think we would have any cause to not push the turnaround and get that done. I think we're with you, Dave. I think all of us are with you. Yeah,
We talked during the pandemic too about him making us from 4 to 5.
yeah. The pandemic
that?
became harder,
we
but
do that
making you
now?
from what, 4 to 5?
Just 4 to 5.
Yeah,
We strongly recommend it.
yes,
Strongly recommend it.
there we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, just so you know,
Negotiated.
East Brunswick, which I didn't meet with South Amboy or South River, they're too small compared to us.
yeah, no, of
But
course.
East Brunswick, they have 5 on day shift minimum, 5 on seconds minimum, 4 on midnights. Old Bridge, basically the same size as us also. They have 6 on days, 6 on seconds, and 5 on midnight. And we're at 4.
East Brunswick also doesn't work any overtime.
Women don't work any overtime.
They accommodate their hours.
No. Yeah, we really need to 91,
91.
91 now, but we're losing 3, so we're back to 88.
So you,
Anything we can do to raise the manpower, I mean,
I think that's a conversation that we definitely have to have, and with the recommendations of the chief and stuff, and in close conversation with you guys. I know you guys work very well with the chief as a unit usually. So I think that that's a conversation that needs to happen
Right.
completely internally and then to bring back to us.
I have spoken to him about it, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's that keen on doing it.
Okay. Good to
So
know.
that's why I was making a little help on,
Well, little help on
It
that.
doesn't happen all that often where we're down to a minimum, like my shift have 7. We
Mm-hmm.
allow 2 guys off at a time. So we usually have 5, but we have a guy out since January with a broken thumb. So we're always at the minimum
Mhm.
and it's exhausting.
I think it's
Very good.
definitely a bigger conversation that probably needs to happen also with the committee as well. So that way we can come back and talk about a lot of different things, like how the power shift removal is working now too. If that's something which was good, we didn't eliminate it. If there's a
1
possible,
year, right.
yeah, it was just for 1 year. But I guess if we bring it back, we could bring it back if it might help. We could do, like a sidebar agreement and just see if it works to help supplement at certain times. If you guys see that shift is where there seems to be a problem. In the meantime, while we wait to turn around and get the hirings through.
Right.
Because even if we do the hirings, it still takes time, like you said, to get
Sure.
them through the academy. Even if they are previous officers from somewhere, if they've gone through that, it still takes time. So I think it's definitely, let's try and work together. Councilwoman June 4th, put together your committee, meet with the PBA president, get a listen to what you guys need, and then let's circle back and see what we can do with the chief as well. Dan, reach out and try and foster that conversation as well. Is that good, Dave? Try and get everybody in a room and see how we can make it work. It worked last time.
The one problem with the power shift is just another shift we allow people off.
Yeah,
So right now we have 2 off in each shift. It's 6. Now you bring that in, now we're allowing 7 guys off. So it's just
Yeah.
allowing more guys off. That's why it doesn't work.
yeah, no, listen, I'm not gonna claim that I understand the way that it works. I just know that was something that sometimes helped and maybe sometimes did
Mhm.
not. But I really think this is another prime opportunity to get people in a room, talk about the problems that we're seeing and come up with a rational way, hopefully an affordable way
Okay.
that we can make it work. I don't know. I could be testing fate. It worked the last time when we brought the Board of Ed in and good things happened. This might be another opportunity at that.
I'm game if you can pull it off.
I'm-
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Just ask to get a list.
Mhm. Okay, I do have 2 hand raised, virtually speaking, that have not spoken yet. So I'll go to Mr. Syed. And just take 1 second so that way we can put you. All right, Mr. Syed, you are our maiden caller with our newest system. Can you hear us? Okay, Mr. Syed, just give me your name and address, please.
Galib Sayed, 3 Sophie Street, Parlin.
Perfect. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, if Barbara was to run for election for a president, I will vote for her the earlier the later. Very well spoken and made her point across. I wanted to just second to her point that starting from on Bordentown Avenue from Ernstone Road and onwards, it is collecting garbage. My suggestion would be that if we have summer is approaching fast, I think if the budget allows, we can you can hire summer students a job for their experience, so they can also help you out in doing that. Apart from that, when I moved in Cerebral 20 plus years ago, 21 years ago, actually, if, to be exact. And in 2011, I bought a house on Sophie Street, and that street was kind of a mess. It has improved a little bit, but I wanted to thank you and your team for taking care of our neighborhood. You have chopped down the trees, which are very old. Now it's going through the constructions. Hopefully we'll have a better neighborhood, looking like an American neighborhood than to what it looks like right now. I was telling the CME people that when I have neighbors coming in or guests coming in from different countries, they said, "This is America." I said, "Yeah, this is America." So, okay, but then he laughed and he said, "No, this will be improved." So thank you for that, for allocating budget and also efforts into it. The other thing I wanted to bring your attention, I want this to be on the record, that we have beautification, you said, right? The first and foremost part to beautify is our Cerebral page, the web page. We are missing two councilwomen and councilmen pictures there. So I've been noticing that since January of this year, and this is March, the 3 months have gone by and we don't see their pictures. I'm not sure if it's a policy or what. It would be nice to have their pictures here. So that's my point. Two things. One is thank, and the other one is suggestion to, if you can have students for summer for their benefit and the city benefits to beautify our neighborhood, they can help us out. And also put the pictures, if possible, our new elected council women and councilmen.
Thank you, Mr. Syed. We do actually hire part-time summer help every year. But I do think that it's also a great idea to put out to our high school and to our students as well. Sometimes that can be a little helpful, but we do put that out every year and we do get individuals. How many do we usually hire? Phil, what do we usually end up bringing in? 5? Thanks, Phil. So we usually do bring in 5 part-time summer help, and they are young. A lot of times they are some of our younger people that come and apply for those jobs as well. So we are working on that. And thank you. What was the other comment that I forgot?
Pictures.
The website, and the website will continue to work on with Tom. I know Tom's continuing to do that update as well. And beautification all the way. We're going to get you a crown that says Beautification Queen, Councilwoman Mar.
I'm trying to get up there.
Yeah, I know. I have 2. I still have 2 more. Hold on, that didn't speak yet. I know. Ed, I see a hand raised. All I see is the name is Ed. Please state your name and address for the record. And just unmute yourself, Ed, so that way we can hear you.
Hi, good evening. This is Mrs. Hernandez. Ed is
And
my,
Mr. Hernandez.
and Mr. Hernandez, Ed.
Just address 2, please.
Yes, we're at 8 Joseph Street in Sayreville. And that's
Okay.
that's the Tangletown area.
We've got you. Go ahead.
Okay, so good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Yes. I've been speaking, my husband and I have been speaking with several individuals over the last 25 years. We've been living here at Joseph Street. We've made some improvements in our property, but our concern is that the township has not been maintaining the streets in the area. And the streets in the area are not only being used by the school, that's right here on Dean Street, and I believe it's
Dane.
Williams, on Dane, I'm sorry, Dane Street. And also we have the post office nearby. And then, of course, the usual traffic or the people, you know, that are in the neighborhood. So our street hasn't been touched, and every year that we've called, it needs a lot of repairs. There's a lot of big holes. We've spoken with Mr. Frankel, we've spoken with other council members
The other
previous to
mayor that
this.
used to be there, I spoke to him personally.
Yes. So we've, over the years, been reaching out, trying to get this area improved in relation to the streets. And we noticed that Dane has been done a few times. And right now, as it is, it's in really, really poor condition. Joseph Street and all the surrounding streets in the
Mary, all
area.
of those.
The street that they did, which is Allgare, we were very pleased to see the work that they did there. It turned out really nice. It took a long time and they finally did that. But every year that we have called and you could say complained about our area,
So
they
they're on
would
the
say
list.
that it's on the list. Joseph is on the list, on the list. Every year it's on the list. And we still haven't seen any kind of motion to get the street fixed. They come and plug up the holes with the gravel and the gravel is out
Yeah,
within
they
a
just
few
like,
hours.
just basically plug it up and they don't really dig it out and pack it down right. It's just, they fill it, that's it, and it just comes up.
So I
Yes.
am going, I'm
There-
just going to
yeah.
give you a chance to actually listen to Councilman Conti, who's actually our liaison to Public Works, as well as our engineer, Mr. Cornell. I'll give you guys a few minutes just to update and let them know where we are in reference to those roads, specifically in Tangletown. I don't know who wants to cover it first. Do you want to take it, Jay?
Mayor, at the present time, Church Street and Smollen Street are under reconstruction, so they're being done.
Mhm.
Joseph Street, I think there were small sections of Joseph done when the adjacent streets were improved, but not the entire length. It's something that each year the borough tries to go through and evaluate the roads that they receive the most complaints on through Public Works. And we recently had a meeting with the Public Works Department to talk about that. So we will take another look at Joseph and possibly try to consider that with next year's list of improvements.
Yeah, and we could send the guys out there to take a look as well and see if there's any immediate need beyond or something short-term while we look at the rest of the street.
Wait till.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you'll excuse us, this is the response that we've been getting every single time that we've called and we've been complaining about the street. Mind you, I have 3 autistic brothers. They are disabled, and there's a few other families that we know in the area that have autistic children. My brothers have fragile legs, they have autism, cognitive delays, and so forth. These are people that have children in the area. And the school, like I said, it's the streets are being used continuously by the busing, the parents and so forth in the area. And when I look at Dane, this would be, if they go and fix it, it'll be the 3rd time that they will be fixing that street, working on it and repairing it since we've been here. But right now, Joseph Street, as we speak, I'm repeating myself, hasn't been touched in relation to getting it fully fixed. There are holes on the corner. I mean, this
Oh, the
is,
sewer is
the-
dropping in the
oh,
corner
the
of
sewer is
Dane and
dropping. If
Joseph.
any, I'm pretty sure that individuals
Come
have
take a look, you
driven
can
by
look at it.
there. And
Well,
yeah,
the
if
good
you-
news,
if
I
you-
don't mean to cut you off, but the
Yes,
good
yes.
news is not only do we have our engineer here, not only do we have our liaison of public works here, but we also have both of our DPW superintendents here that are listening to exactly what you're saying. And as you heard from Councilman Conti, that we are definitely going to be sending out somebody to inspect the road specifically that you're talking about, especially those areas that you mentioned that seem to be of serious hazard. And then what will have to happen then is another discussion with the entire road crew as well as our engineer in order to look at total cost for the remaining part of Joseph Street. But I will tell you that the likelihood of that being done within the next month, 2 months or not, that's more than likely not close to a reality, because we obviously need to appropriate the money and the funding and look at the cost for doing a partial, it looks like a partial road repair, because part of Joseph has been done already.
Can I,
Hold
can
on.
I?
Wait, let me say
yes,
something.
Go ahead, I'm
When they
sorry.
came up all gear, all they did was return the curbs onto Joseph a little bit. That's basically all they did. And then they had a little bit of blacktop, and then they just threw a little layer. If that's what you call it, that they repaired part of Joseph, that's not really
That's
repaired.
not true.
That's why we're sending,
Yeah.
that's why we're gonna send our
Yeah.
crews out. Can you do me a favor though also? And I'd like you to email Councilman Conti. As well as our business administrator, Mr. Frankel. Because that way they can turn around. What? Oh, do you guys email, right? Or
Yeah.
you can even phone or call over to the DPW office because like I said, our superintendents are both here. And I assure you that this is going to be something that they are looking at within the next, well, less than 24 hours because it's 8/11 already. So, but
So
I totally
you're-
hear, we
I'm
all hear
sorry, can you
exactly
give
what
me
you're
the name
saying.
again? That's a
Um,
Dan Frankel and. Conti,
Mr.
what's
Frankel's
the-
our business administrator, Dan Frankel.
Yes, I've
Lo-
spoken to him numerous times. Very, very kind gentleman in the manner of his speaking with me and considering our concerns. Can you
Thank
give me
you.
the first name? Can you give me Mr. Conti's first name?
And it's Councilman Conti. His first name is Vincent. You don't mind me giving all that out on you. His home address is, no.
No.
No, I'm teasing, I'm teasing.
You can
Personal
have
cell
ours, but we
phone.
don't need to.
No, but so more importantly, if you call, that's fine. But if you email, that would be even better because we always like, electronic records as well.
I'm sorry, what's your name again?
They referred, I am Jessica. No, I'm only kidding. No, it's Mayor Kilpatrick. It's Victoria Kilpatrick. V Kilpatrick. But you can reach me at mayor@Saraville.
And what is the email for
Mayor?
For Mr. Frankel?
Mr. Frankel, it's dfrankel@saraville.com. Can we type it in the chat? Yeah, Nicole is going to type all those contacts in the chat for you.
Okay, all right, good. Thanks.
Okay.
That
Okay,
would,
thank-
yes, hey, technology is
appreciate that.
first day. But again, I'm sorry I can't rectify it tonight. I wish that I could, but you've made your first step and you came to the right meeting. And right now, I think you're up to 5 people working on that.
And Mayor, if I may, my street is also original and I looked into the process. I spoke with Jay at length because it is frustrating to be on that list for decades.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And Jay relayed that Public Works prepares the list of roads that they would like to see paved based upon the amount of complaints received and the amount of repairs that they make. So again, I urge everyone to use our repair request link at Saraville.com on the left-hand side. I think requests in writing go a long way over making a phone call, but I understand how sometimes we prefer to call, but I urge everyone to use the repair request link on our Saraville.com homepage.
I
Yeah,
agree.
we're trying to avoid any serious accidents in the neighborhood, people ruining their cars and people getting injured. The condition is really poor. If somebody tries to walk down the street, especially around the corner on Dane, Joseph and Dane, it is really deep where the drain is at
Yeah,
the
the
corner.
sewer, yeah.
And anybody can fall into that hole and get injured, anyone, even during the day, if they're not
That's-
watching carefully. So
That's why it's going to be
yes.
an immediate review. I would like you to check for me, please, in the chat to make sure that you're able to see the emails that Nicole has added to the chat. Oh, she sent it privately. So that way you should be able to see it privately through your chat. With that being said, I will also say, just for the residents that are here, I have been on those road, when our road department goes out with Jay and our former director, when we did the road inspections in order to come up with which roads are going to be reviewed and eventually possibly paved. And let me tell you, I hear you. I hear our residents loud and clear. We have many, many roads that need to be repaired, and it's very difficult.
They need to replace.
It's extremely difficult. Jay, I think I spent almost, God, 4 hours with you guys. It was long, but the more complaints that you do put in, I hate to say it, that those are the ones that we inspect first when we're on those drive-throughs. So get your neighbors and get the people on your street, if there is an issue, to turn around and put those calls in, because they do get attention that way. Were you able to see those emails in your chat, in your private chat?
No, I don't see anything in there.
So this is
That's
what we're
good.
gonna do. We're gonna take down your phone number, so that way we can make sure that we contact you, if you're comfortable with giving that information out. Or your email, you can put that in the chat if you're able to. Are you calling in?
No, I could put it in the chat, I guess. I could put it.
Yeah, put it in the chat, and then what we'll have is either Jessica or Nicole will reach out to you, get more personal
I'll put my
information.
email address.
That would be perfect.
Oh, you have my
Thank-
email? They have it? Oh, yeah, you have
No,
my
we're
email.
gonna
I
ask
just-
that you put it in the chat.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you both very much, and you will be hearing from multiple people from the borough.
Yes, we would appreciate it so very much. It's been years, making requests. And we are really concerned with the condition of the roads in the area, especially for the school system and for us as families with children here. My brothers are adults, but they're still disabled. And yeah, all of this affects everybody in the area.
Absolutely. We will all be following up. Councilman Conti will be following up, I'm sure, as well. Thank you. With that, Mr. Robinson?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square in Parlin. I want to compliment everyone involved with the quality of the video and the audio. It is much better than it's been at previous meetings. And with the great video, it was very easy to see that there are 8 women up there, and that is always including the clerks and the CFO. And that is always a great thing, but especially this month, it was great to hear my friends, Mrs. Kilcummins and Karen, get up and speak as well. So this truly is great to have so many women involved, especially this month. Mayor, I read in the paper the other day, or online, I guess it was, that Sayreville got some federal funds for water transportation improvements or waterfront transportation improvements. There were two different stories. Can somebody please tell me exactly what that is? Very happy to see that.
I'm going to actually defer over to both my business administrator and to my CFO on that. I saw that same article as well, and it piqued my interest because the fact that they identified that as a water transportation project had me a little perplexed, because I don't recall us actually discussing any type of water transportation project. So I've been trying to get some clarification on that as well. No, it was Sayreville. It listed it as Sayreville, and it was the largest amount. What was it? Was it 1.3?
1.1 or 1.3, something like that.
Yes. It is, I believe. No, it's not. Isn't that out of, it was Coughlin, the Assembly Speaker?
No, but it was federal funding.
It came through federal fundings, but it was out of, I think it was comments made by Coughlin and those individuals. Mr. Frankel, do you have more info on that?
They might have indicated on a legislative district level, but it was federal money.
I believe, and I'd have to verify this, but there was a press conference by Congressman Pallone
Oh, yes.
on the border of Sayreville and Old Bridge. And I believe that but I'd have to verify that where they were talking about cleaning up the Old Bridge side, but it's right on almost on the same border of Sayreville, but I'd have to verify that.
That is true, Mr. Robinson, and I didn't know if that was connected. Congressman Pallone, a handful of months back, actually, wasn't able to attend the event. There is some work that is being done over there by the waterway, by the jetties. In addition to where we did some dredging a couple of years ago, there's now work going to be done over in Old Bridge, but I did specifically see that that dollar figure was being attributed to Saraville. So
This was different, Mayor. I was invited to that event. The secretary came in and that was to clean up the slag and things like that. But
Yes.
I thought this was different and it would be great to know what it is. You know, we read it, everybody read it online and I don't think anybody knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, it
So
was
would be
online.
good.
I'm with you, Jim. I've been trying to find out exactly what that was being appropriated for, because and I think here on the council, you can clearly hear that none of us can really speak, including our officials, our professionals here. The fact that it was stated as a water transportation project, then it got me thinking maybe it was part of what South Amboy was doing, because the South Amboy is working diligently on that ferry system. And we know that Saraville and South Amboy, when it comes to sometimes certain areas, was it really the South Amboy ferry that was really going to be receiving those funds, those federal dollars? So that was one of the other things that I was looking at as well. I'll let you know when I get some more official information. Hopefully we'll have that sooner than our next meeting.
What was more confusing is one of the stories referred to it as a water transportation improvement and another one referred to it as a waterfront transportation.
Yes, I saw both of those.
That would be good to know. I was also very happy to hear that proclamation, Mayor, that Saraville is once again, a tree city. And we talked about in the resolution how trees beautify the area and contribute to property values. I've said this before. I don't want to put Denise on the spot and ask her to tell us the number that's in the tree bank right now, but it's somewhere between $400,000 and $700,000. And when that tree bank was written years ago, wasn't written so that we could collect money. We have that money there so that we can buy trees. The trees are coming down in the community and they ought to be replaced. And you know, I shared with some folks on social media that one of my friends in Hackettstown, who knows that was very involved in the tree bank ordinance, showed me that they are giving away trees like we used to do in Saraville many years ago.
Jim, there's about 630,000 there.
630,000. Yeah, I said it was almost 700. And that is before the temple and that is before Arsenal kick in. And they are going to kick in substantial amounts of revenue.
One of the things, Jim, that I actually tasked the chairman of the Shade Tree Committee, Mr. Rittenhouse, this is going back now a number of months, I think about 5 months now, because there is such a substantial amount of money within the tree fund bank. I wanted at least a 5-year projection of reforestation and the use of those funds within town. So that was something that I wanted to see projected, kind of like a master plan that we see with everything from our roads to our water and infrastructure. So I think that's something I haven't heard from Art lately, but I'm certain that he's working on it. So next time he calls in, hopefully he can have that prepared for us. And now with our new technology, we'd be able to show that master plan.
Yeah, and I was also going to speak with him at the next meeting, especially with respect to Mrs. Kilcummins and beautifying the town and what are the plans for doing so. There's money there and, you know, it is done.
So I spoke to him once about it before, and I think there's limitations on how that money can be spent. I think it's trees only because, for example, I think I brought up with Phil last year, the island to Kennedy Park entrance, that's in dire need of an overhaul. If we could just take out everything and replace it with something. I'll follow up with Mr. Rittenhouse, but I think that it can only be spent on trees.
Yeah, there still may be some opportunities.
Yeah.
So
That is true. That's the way the ordinance was written. And you might take a look at what it says about waivers in there as well, because I know there's been some discussion about waiving some tree bank contributions, and the ordinance does speak to that. And lastly, Mayor, I was very happy to see something on social media that the borough is asking people to report streetlights that are out. There are a lot of streetlights that are out in town. You know, we pay those bills whether the lights are on or not because they're not metered. do we know how many folks have actually reported streetlights being out as a result of us asking folks to do that?
We can find that out very quickly as long as they use the reporting app. We'll have Tom Bracken pull that information for us, which usually we do when we're checking to see how often the residents are using all of our reporting systems. So Dan, do me a favor, check with Tom and see how many we've had. Do you know how many, or let's see, no,
We just
George?
did a sweep of the entire borough from our police department and of street lights that were out. We gave it to Department of Public Works, who also is going to add to that list. I believe that list is probably 85 to 90% completed.
Come on up, George.
George Gavin, 23 Thompson Place, Portland, New Jersey. I'm currently one of the superintendents for Public Works. On the streetlights, we just submitted at least 15 pages or so.
Oh, Lord.
And I want to say there's about 10 on each page. So they got a lengthy list. Sad to say, but now we are at the mercy of Jersey Central to schedule them and get the people into work to repair everything.
That's excellent. Thanks, George.
You're welcome.
So 150, if my math serves me. That I can do. Thanks, George. That's, so you heard it right there, Jim, about 150 lights if we're estimating about 10 per page of 15.
That's worked on.
If I may just interrupt, I think that is a great example of why I mentioned last meeting of why we need directors at meetings every week.
Great job. Okay, anything else, Jim?
Well, thank you very much.
Wonderful. All right, Ms. Biebert, there's no more hands raised. Go ahead.
Karen Bieberts, 9 Burlington Road. I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have cerebral cares, and to Ms. Cummins, I founded it with 2 of my former employees after my business burned down. Now I'm retired. And yes, we're paying attention to those streets and we offer our help. I mean, we have an amazing Department of Public Works and an amazing Parks Department. We have a lot of areas in this town to cover, and there's 8 warriors there with the leader who's in the back of this room that do a great job. But we are here to, as cerebral cares, and if anyone's listening from home or in this room, if they would please go, if you're on Facebook, go to Cerebral Cares. It's a Facebook group. We have our next event on April 23rd. We are working in conjunction with the Borough of Cerebral and Elise, who runs the recycling and does wonderful things for this town. And we have a standing date with them, with her. We do Kennedy Park twice a year in the fall and the spring. And if anyone has any suggestions, Ms. Cummins, I will certainly give you my number. If you can just reach out to us through the Facebook group, we love to help and we're here. We love this town. We all love this town. So if anything greater than 0, we could all do this. All right.
Very good.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Karen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody else from the public has something to add, Mr. Izzo?
How you doing? Robert Izzo, 21 North Edward Street. To start, I did email you after the last meeting. I don't know if you checked it or not, but I haven't heard back from you.
I didn't see it. You emailed me personally?
Yeah. through
Just me?
the-
I did not
borough
see it,
page.
but I will double check. I'm bad if things get jumped into my spam or my junk. So usually that doesn't happen though. Usually my residents' emails come back, but we'll talk right after the meeting then to make sure that whatever you sent me, unless you want to talk now. How we doing?
We'll see how it goes.
Okay, go ahead.
The other thing, I kind of won't sidetrack because there's a couple different ways I wanted to take this. But first, I wanted to thank all of you and Sergeant Braille. He actually met with me personally. I got to speak with him. And I apologize to Dave if some of my statistics were wrong. But he explained to me that it's a 4-man minimum, not just 4 men. So,
Yeah.
we had a good lengthy conversation as far as how the radar worked and all that stuff and some of the statistics he had gotten off of it. I kind of feel like the radar did run its course because I did feel like I noticed a lot of people, towards the end of it, they started speeding again, and then once it disappeared, it's just like back to the racetrack. And as far as his schedule, which I kind of felt, from what he told me, it's him and he's in charge of 2 other guys and their shift 7 to 4. There is some overtime, but
yeah,
I just feel like it's not enough. And, yeah, when target enforcement comes out, it's gonna be great, but I hate sayings, but as the stupid saying goes, when the cat's away, the mice will play. So sure, they'll be there, they'll hit them hard, and he said you get about a month's compliance, and then it's back to the same old, same old. So I'm more coming up today to ask, like, I mean, I only come to the meetings, I haven't heard anything from anyone specifically, but has there been any other discussion as far as anything being proactive? Because he has explained to me that the whole school road permit parking issue took over a year to get, solidified. So in the meantime, with targeted enforcement and slow down our town and all that other stuff, have you sat down and come up with any other options for a more permanent solution to the speeding on the block?
Not me personally. One of the
No,
things
no,
that I was
no.
waiting for was to definitely get that data and to actually talk with Sergeant Braille and come up with what that plan was going to be. But I'm more happy and encouraged that he spoke to you first, which I think was the right way to go. Anybody else from the council? I know our council liaison, June.
How are you, Mr. Rizzo?
Good.
I had a lengthy conversation with Sergeant Brown, and he did tell me exactly what you just told me. He told me that he was going to call you and Mrs. Beaver also.
Mhm.
And he did say that he will be working with you. If you can give him some time, the radar, we only have one in town. He told me how much it costs. When he told me the amount, I was really baffled. It's several thousands of dollars. To get another one, it will come out of taxpayers' dollars, taxpayers' pockets, if they're willing to pay it. But he's actually willing to work with you. He said, give him a couple of months to collect the data, and I'm pretty sure there's a solution that will go for it. But that was a lengthy conversation. That's what I can talk to you about. But after every meeting, him and I do have conversations. So after this meeting, I will be giving him a follow-up phone call. He actually watches the meetings too, and he reaches out to the residents, which he did tell me that he was reaching out to you, and I'm glad that you confirmed it also.
Yeah, we actually got to speak for a good amount of time, and it actually put me at a little bit more ease. I think a couple months is not necessarily what I'm looking for.
He's collecting data.
No, I understand that. But the fact of the matter is, if the radar's not there and there's no police present, like, I know I can't expect to have a cop on my block 24 hours a day. Like, it's not like, we're not gonna have it's just not feasible.
Yes, but he told me the reason why that radar can't be there because it needs to be placed somewhere else where a complaint has been raised. And that radar also needs to circulate around town instead of just being in one spot. Remember, it's only just one in our town.
No, I'm aware of that and I understand that, but my concern, like I said, like, I'm not up here for me.
No,
It's for
I
the kids.
understand.
And I understand that we had a great conversation, the last meeting, I was a little hot under the collar about some other things, but as far as
Just hang on one second, ladies. Ms. Kilcummings Ms. Ms. Kilcummings, we can hear you on the. Our microphones are extremely sensitive now. It's okay. I can't make out exactly what you're saying, but I'm sure. Yeah. But it makes us hard to hear Mr. Izzo. Thank you. That's okay. 310 if you want. It's all yours. Sorry, Mr. Izzo. I wanted to make sure that your comments were heard clearly through here. I think you probably spoke to Sergeant Braille later than when you spoke to Sergeant Braille. I think you probably have spoken to Sergeant Braille more recently because your conversation was probably shortly after our council meeting.
Yes.
So so your conversation with Sergeant Braille was right after our council meeting. You've had much more recent conversations with Sergeant Braille then, because
That was like the Thursday of that week. I
Yeah, he
think.
told me
So-
the exact days that he will contact Ms. Beaver and Mr. Rizzo.
Yeah.
He actually went through the whole entire steps. So even what Mr. Rizzo is saying, you're actually not saying a lie, you're actually telling the truth, because this is exactly the exact words from Sergeant Braille. But
I wouldn't come up here and lie. So.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying his exact words is what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that I know you want other solutions. We did talk about that, especially he told me the exact date that it was going to be moved. And he did tell me that that radar actually needs to be placed somewhere else. He told me the exact street, which I will not say on record. He told me the exact street where he needs to place it because there's some concerns and it's just one. He told me the amount of how much the radar costs. And I asked him, how can we get another one? And simply to get another one is coming out of taxpayers' dollars if they're ready to pay those thousands of dollars.
Right.
Oh, we'd
Yeah,
have to
I
just
don't-
put it on our budget.
No, but
Mr.
I don't-
Izzo, to put things into perspective, I have been waiting 2 years for something to happen on Dolan after Jimmy Kehoe got hit by a car and almost died.
All right, so basically then I'll just have to come back week after, or meeting after.
I,
meeting, So,
I've been talking with Sergeant Braille every day, and this year, something's going to happen. And I think if we keep bringing it up on a daily basis, instead of just waiting meeting after meeting, I think that's the only way to get this done.
What if we at a minimum bought, I mentioned it a while ago about flashing yellow lights to slow down. I mean, people slow down when they see flashing lights. They don't know what's going on, but they see flashing lights and they slow down at least a little bit. Gives us, around the OLV, I've heard that before. Your road, other spots, the side streets, put in some flashing. I mean, I don't know how much they'll cost, the solar, so I know they're gonna cost money, whether they be $1,000, $2,000.
exactly, not to cut you off, but if you're, not to be rude, but if you're just gonna say it's gonna cost money, then why are we up here?
That's
Like,
actually
I'm
not
not,
my
like,
excuse.
no,
My
but you're
thing-
saying it's gonna cost money. I
No, I was
understand
just
that, like,
telling him
nothing's
that,
free.
Mr. Rizzo, I'm
but-
actually here to listen to you.
and
You're a
also
resident.
Just to clear.
But Sergeant Braille said he's willing to work with you.
No,
and
I
can
understand
say
that. I had
for
a great
him.
conversation with Sergeant Braille. And I mean, I don't know what the cost difference is between the signs that you put up on Ernst Road that flash.
I was just actually
as
answering
compared to the
Councilman
radar.
Conti. I just wanted to
but-
answer him.
But yeah, I just feel like if you're gonna say like, well, it's gonna cost money, that's not a good, and just for the
That
record.
was actually just his
it's
answer. I would
Izzo,
never
not-
say that to you. That was
Right, but-
answering him.
And lastly, no, but you're saying it into a microphone and I can hear you. So like I'm trying to have a casual conversation here, but it's also Izzo. It's not, it's my first name is Robert, last name is Izzo. So it's Izzo, just four
Okay,
letters.
excuse
But
my pronunciation.
That's fine. I'm just letting you know, because I feel like some people say Rizzo, but it's Izzo.
Yeah, I've been
but
hearing so many times, like I've never seen your name written out or spelled out.
That's fine. That's fine. But that's like, basically though, like, I've come up here since what, like November, October. And like I said, last meeting, it's just excuses and, like after speaking with Sergeant Braille, I was much more at ease, but now I can't just put everything on him because it's him and two guys that work under him.
What was his recommendation? So I'm glad that he gave you a little bit of ease. Was it because he compiled all of that data, or did he have an additional plan when it came to enforcement? Because I'm hearing a couple of different things. Now you're hearing some brainstorming coming out. This is what I hear. It's probably the same thing you're hearing. One person is saying flashing lights. I don't know if that's going to get the job done, maybe. And we would end up having them recommended or requested at every single street in town. So a lot of flashing lights.
Right.
I know Councilwoman Novak, she had just said enforcement, enforcement, enforcement. She was doing the sign language for ticket. I do know, I got a screenshot of a Facebook post. Apparently our officers were out really doing some serious enforcement, I guess, last week or over the past weekend. And it was funny because people were sending different comments that they would shoot to me. One person was like, just giving you a warning, they're out doing ticketing and speed enforcement. Look out on these streets. Some people said, thank God, while other people said, how dare you turn around and ticket the taxpayers that pay yours. So I always love that. It's always, they hear us. So there was enforcement. So she's saying enforcement. And I know that one of the things that you have discussed for certain is the idea of the speed hump. So those are the three things that I have
But what
heard.
did what did the
Yeah,
professional
what did he
say?
happen to
He said-
say?
He said that he can't necessarily, he's not gonna agree with me as far as the speed humps or bumps are concerned, but doesn't mean it can't happen.
Okay.
He said that he had went by and did like a little bit of preliminary data. He said within the week's time, he said 2,700 cars had driven by, which is actually kind of a bigger number. Top
I'm sure.
speed.
I didn't think
he
that
said,
was that much. Yeah.
I forget the exact number of the people that had sped within the 0 to 10 miles an hour over the limit. He said there was 89 that were 10 miles an hour plus over the limit, and the top speed, which he said could have been a ghost, but I don't believe so because there is a couple cars I see that fly down the block. He said top speed was clocked at 66 miles an hour.
Wow.
So
Unreal.
Is there a way, I mean, I don't know, I think the guys on the force have said this, I know it's hard, but if you called in a license plate or something to the force, maybe it's something that we can inquire about.
I don't think that's enforceable. You can't, our attorney even said that
No,
we can't do
that I
that.
understand.
Could
Some of the
you,
cards
could
I
you
wouldn't
pay
be
a
able to catch
visit
it
to a
at.
house though?
Ooh,
Like if one of the law enforcement pay a visit to a house and say, you were reported as speeding. I can't give
Mr.
you a ticket."
Dupont very commandingly said no.
No?
So,
And-
are those still so you're asking for us to turn around and advocate in addition, which we will, that. We wanted to make sure that as much attention was paid to the issue that you had without
Yeah.
a doubt. So
Well,
what you
Mayor, if
need
I
is
may,
for
none
more
of
of us to stand up for additional,
At our budget meeting, none of those enforcements were on our list, and perhaps they should be. Perhaps we need to reach out to the chief, Councilwoman, and ask if instead of our pie in the sky requests, we can request some things that are more feasible for our community.
our budget meeting was just this past Monday. And within that budget meeting, under police and public safety, the lights and an additional radar machine with the blinking light, which was placed at by your home, that was not put within the public safety budget. So that wasn't an ask on their part. But it is something that we probably need to inquire about and say, is this something that we're willing to turn around and put forward on there? It will become part of their budget. But if that's what we need more of, then that's what we need more of. If we're carting around one throughout our entire town, George, how many roads do we have?
643 or something.
643?
Right,
You know, that's a lot of carting. That thing's getting a lot of miles.
No, I understand. I understand too. My block's not the only block. It's just
Yeah.
one of the things like, I brought up the first meeting. It's like at any point, which last weekend was a great example. My neighbor had all four of her grandkids over. The three kids from across the street were playing with them.
Yeah.
And the two kids down the block. So I understand that my block isn't the only block in town. And like I've said from the beginning, it's not about me, it's for the kids. And it's just, I feel like I don't go around and survey everybody, but I don't know if there's a section in town that has the way the street is, it's just flat and long.
Yeah.
And the concentration of children within an 8-house like perimeter or whatever you want to call it. Like it's 17 kids. It's a lot of kids,
Yeah.
and if they have friends over, I think I'm having 2 additional kids come over the weekend or whatever. So that's 4 kids in my house, 3 across the street, 2 down there, 4
Oh, yeah,
over
it's
there.
a
So,
high
like,
concentration of young people within that on the short, with not a lot of frontage on the houses.
Right. And as far as the brainstorming, I'm taking up a lot of time up here, but like we brainstorm here, but do we brainstorm outside of the meetings?
Yes.
Because
I do. I turn around and call people and that was one of my biggest things. Like, obviously, when I turned around and said, put the unmanned vehicle in there and do that, I think we came up with a better solution when I sat down and spoke with the chief and spoke with Sergeant Braille. So at least we were able to compile that data, get a little bit more information. I think we're at our next phase, and I think it's going to be another conversation that needs to happen. Now we have the data. I'm glad he reached out to you. Let's turn around and have another real discussion. And maybe it would benefit us to turn around and have yourself, along with Sergeant Braille and one of our council representatives there. So that way we don't have to wait until another meeting, but those conversations can be had prior to you having to come up here. And then we can have something on our agenda if it's feasible. At the very least, looking at our budget before that budget turns around and gets approved. I think that's where we're at. So what do you say, Councilwoman June 4th? I think we're ready for.
How do you spell your last name?
IZZO.
IZZO.
And who, are you still on public safety? No, let me.
Is Councilman Onoha and Councilwoman Mar.
Okay, perfect. So you have council president and then Councilman Noah, turn around and have a public safety committee meeting, include Sergeant Braille. And then also, I think it would be beneficial to turn around and at whichever point is appropriate, have Mr. Izzo come in as well, because you've come here and you deserve that. I'm glad that Sergeant Braille is reaching out to you, but let's do that prior to our next meeting. So we have a plan in place before that.
Right, because I understand it's not going to be like tomorrow we're going to get it fixed, but we'll try to get the ball rolling sooner than later. So
Absolutely. I'm with you with that.
And I
And
believe Mayor Councilman Dunfor said Captain Kiernan has to be present as well, or Captain Plumacher, one of them.
Yeah, however it needs to work out, you reach out to Sergeant Braille, whomever it be, whether it be Captain Kiernan, the chief, whomever. I mean, whatever ranks need to be there in order to have that conversation. Because I feel for you, Mr. Izzo. By the way, I think perimeter might have been correct, but I'll let you ask the wife when you go home. That's her, that's her area of
Perimeter
expertise.
radius, so.
I hope that helps a little bit. But you're not just getting like a shaking of the head here. We're with you. I want to see that fixed as well.
All right, well, thank you. And,
You're very welcome.
I'm so sorry.
lastly, this may come off as a little bitter, but I think that letting the last hiring cycle or the last academy class go without hiring anybody I think it's a mistake. The class prior to that with 2 people that dropped out, maybe is medical, whatever, but I think that was kind of pathetic. And like I said, this is my own personal experience. And like I also said, it might come off a little bit bitter, but I was just curious. I don't know if any of you know, which I'm probably not, but is there any reason that perhaps we didn't hire for the last academy class? Is Zabrowski maybe looking through the list, seeing who he could pick and prod and, oh, this is so-and-so's son, this is so-and-so's cousin, because, everything that I say is hearsay, but I hearsay from very reliable people that exceptions are made for certain people and not made for others. And in my own personal experience, I believe exceptions were made for some and not for others. When on a technicality basis, you can grab something from someone's past and disqualify them at whatever age it may be, but then you sweep something more heinous under the rug because they know someone. Or, oh, this person knows some people, but this person knows better people. And his actions were way worse. But we'll just sweep that under the rug because he knows so-and-so. But he only knows these people.
I hear what you're saying. The only thing I can answer as far as the lists go and as far as why we did not hire, we didn't have a list to go off of. I know that in the time that I've been here, that we wait for that recommendation from the chief in order to turn around and certify a list and then move forward with the hiring. We usually always go based on the recommendations of the chief.
Right, does he wait until he sees certain people on the list?
That I
he
don't know,
wants to recommend?
despite public opinion,
Because-
that I believe, and maybe I'm naive in this, that civil service rules are supposed to follow. Some towns are not civil service towns. We
No, I
are.
know how it works.
Yeah,
It's-
I did not for the longest time, despite being kind of thrown to heck in the newspaper. But I'm not sure. I would like to say no, that doesn't happen. Does anybody else wish to speak intelligently? No?
Usually we don't know. There's a civil service list, the police department, the detectives go out and do
No.
investigations for people. But
I mean,
why somebody is skipped, we're never told.
Well, no, I know it's not you, and I know how the process works. I thought moving back to town, like I have said previously, I thought I would have got a fair shake. And it's not, this is more, whatever, it comes off as a little bitter, but like actually, well, he's not here anymore, but Detective Sergeant Thiel did a great job. He broke me down in a room and tore me apart. And then at the end of it, what he said made sense and it wasn't up to him. So he pushed the papers along. And then it goes up to the Almighty. And then I'm not going to say it now because I don't need to put my own personal information out there. But if any of you would like to sit down and hear my story, I'd love to sit down and explain it to you because I did not get a fair shake. And I will go to my grave with a little bit of bitterness, the fact that I wasn't given a fair shot based on something I did when I was 18. Yet you can get people that, oh, you have a DWI or a DUI, and that's something that you do most likely after the age of 21, but we'll just sweep that under the rug because, oh, this is so-and-so's friend, or this is so-and-so's cousin or brother, or what have you. And it's unfortunate because I'm sure there's people listening. I don't know how many more people are still listening or whatever, but you grow up, and even Mary, you said last meeting that if you could see it, you could be it. Well, unfortunately, no, that's not true, because when you have certain people that hold your future in their hand and you don't know them on a personal level, or somebody below them, you don't know them, or you don't know the right people, you can't be that. And, it's something that bothers me every day. It's something I have to wake up with because of the stupid mistake I made when I was 18. I'm 35 now. So I hope any parent in town tells their children that want to be police officers, wherever, that you need to grow up a Boy Scout and Eagle Scout and do not fart in the wrong direction without saying, excuse me. Because if you don't know the right people, it will come back and bite you in the butt when you're older. Because it's something that came back 15 years later in my life. And like I said, to this day, it bothers me, and I do feel like there should be accountability, and I do feel like there also should be a fair and just background investigation system. Because like my background investigating officer was great. Detective Pascone in narcotics, he was great with me. Sat down, met my family, whatever, like everything was good. Like I said, Detective Sergeant Steele that was here, you know, he put it out there for me. He's like, listen, I'm the bad cop. And he made me feel smaller than a grain of sand when we sat in that meeting. But at the end of it, I don't know how to phrase it, but what he said made me feel a little bit more at ease, because he broke me down, saw how I responded, and said, okay, I'm going to push you on to the next level. But then when it gets to that next level, because I don't know the right people, or like I said 2 meetings ago, I don't have John Wisniewski write me a letter, or, you know, I'm not so-and-so's son or whatever, it just gone. And I don't think that's fair, because me personally, I feel like I strive to do the best at everything I do. And one thing I did say to him was, if you just give me a chance, I can't tell you I'm gonna be the best police officer you've ever had in Saraville, but you're not gonna be disappointed. But it just bothers me that I didn't get a chance to show that based on a nonsensical issue. And that's where, you know, it is what it is.
Appreciate you
But
sharing that.
yes, so with that going forward, I just think for candidates that are on the list or that are gonna be on the next list, I'd like a fair shake for them, because like I said, I don't think what was done to me was right, and it's in the past now. But I do think that it's something, and I'm sure Mr. Franco, you could, I'm not attacking you, I'm sure you could pass it on to Chief Zabrowski if you'd like, because I'd love to sit down with him, you know. But
I think this is going a
Is
little
what it
bit
is.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
let's bring it
with that-
back.
With that,
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I think that is
No.
a conversation you could.
yeah, I understand.
Have
And I
later.
didn't expect it to go down that road, but it was brought up with the hiring and all. And it's kind of just something that, like, you stoke the fire and you stoke the coals and the fire gets lit. And I was coming up more to talk about the other thing, but with that, I just wanted to put that out there. So
I appreciate that.
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Izzo. All right, anybody else from the public? Mr. Duffy?
Yes, one more.
All right, let's try and keep it to 5.
111 Merritt Avenue, Robert Duffy. On the gentleman right before me, I understand you only have one radar.
Mhm.
I know engineering, traffic engineering people, they don't use theirs all the time. You may be able to look and find out who rents them.
Mm.
You can rent them for a week, maybe $100 a day, and it'll solve that problem. On Barbara's problem, I think what you can do, I don't know if they still do it. Years ago, in the courts, there was community service. Every Saturday, the DWI guys, the guys that got arrested for fighting, and it's that 15, 20 of them on Saturday with 2 officers, clean the town.
Yep.
Zero, cost you 0. Okay, so I don't know if they still do that, because that was many years ago.
We have a similar, we use a similar program. We go through the yeah, because of COVID. It's just been because of
Oh,
COVID. They
okay.
did, but we
But
do that.
That would help her problem.
Yeah,
You could take a section each Saturday.
that's exactly what we usually
and, you
do.
know, and do it.
Yep, we're on that one. That one was an
Okay,
easy one.
that was it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Duffy. All right, anybody else from the public? Seeing none? None? Okay,
Motion that we close the public portion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody need a break?
Yes.
All right, quickly, give you a couple minutes. Please rise for the procession to our flag as we start our next meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held this 28th day of March, 2022 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti,
Here.
June 4,
Here.
Mar,
Here.
Novak,
Here.
Noha,
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Under old business, we've already moved forward with our ordinance 1122. We're moving right over to communication and committees reports with administration and finance. Councilwoman Novak, please.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes and reports as listed under the agenda A 1, 2, and 3.
Is there a second?
Second. We got the copy. Everybody got it tonight. This is the updated copy of the budget.
Yes.
I'd like to have one more budget workshop, but I'm leaving it up to the council whether they want to have the full council or just the finance committee.
Anyone from the council have objection with just being a committee, or do we want a full council? Do we want to turn around and just do a quick yay or nay? Who's on your committee again?
Michelle and Vince and myself.
Okay, Michelle, Vince, and yourself. So why don't, how about this?
How's it normally done, actually? Like what?
Well, we can have as many budget workshops as we want. One of the things I think that might be beneficial, since we all just got our more updated budget, let's give everybody an opportunity to review, and then in the event.
Absolutely. It would have to be, I'd say sometime next week.
I was just gonna say, why don't we give everybody, because I'm gonna take a look at it as well.
Mayor, it's not.
Let's do by
diverse
Wednesday or
with
Thursday.
parties.
What?
I don't like how it's not diverse with parties, so I would recommend diversifying that.
It would be harder then because, yeah,
Council.
then you can just do the whole council, if you want. But if nobody has any questions and they're all okay with what's been put together, then there wouldn't be a need for a meeting. So why don't you give everybody, today is Monday, why don't you give everybody till Wednesday to review, Wednesday or Thursday of this week? And then if we need to hold another meeting, then we do that. It might not be necessary to do that.
We'd like to introduce at the next council meeting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think, how much time do you need to advertise? So by Wednesday, so everybody take a look at the budget
Wait a
by,
minute. We have to make a decision by Wednesday?
no, to advertise if we're going to have a budget meeting. That's all, another budget workshop.
Needed to-
So let's do this. Let's all, everybody go home tonight, take a look at what was presented to us today. If anybody feels the need that they want to have another budget workshop, we need to contact Jessica, and obviously, Mary, that's your committee as well. But contact Jessica so that she can advertise appropriately if we need to have a full budget workshop. Can we all make that commitment here, review by Wednesday, and then confirm with Jessica whether we want to turn around and have a full budget workshop? Taking a look at what I saw going through the packet, I really didn't have any additional questions, but the council, you guys really have to be comfortable with the adjustments that were made.
Yet I haven't really had good time to digest this even myself, so all of.
Yeah. So let's do that. So till Wednesday, and in the event that we need that, then Jess, you'll have plenty of time to advertise. And by noon on Wednesday, everybody mark that on their calendar because Jessica needs to know by noon on Wednesday so she can get to the papers. You're okay with that, CFO Biancamano?
Fine, Madam Mayor. Anybody, if anyone has any questions, shoot me an email. I will gladly answer any and all questions before you even make your decision, if you like. It's not a problem.
Excellent. Thanks. That's okay, Mayor? Perfect. All right. Wonderful. I would need to work with B and C. So any questions on B? You're still on.
Under Z, authorizing the tax collector to refund taxes to state veterans as listed under one.
Any objection? Okay.
And refer to tax council, state.
Any questions on that either? That's good. Thank you very much. Planning and zoning, Councilman Anoha?
Yes, I move every single time. I move the following minutes and reports to be received and filed. Construction officials report from the month of February 2022. Fire prevention report from the month of February 2022. And zoning and code enforcement report for the month of February 2022 as well.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. That was you, Councilman Conti. Thanks. Next, Councilman Inoha,
Yep.
letter B.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay. The also wanted motion to receive and file the notice of the adjacent community property, community/property owners of the two following public notice hearings, number 1 and number 2 in South Amboy and East Brunswick.
Is there a second? Mary, thank you. Anything else to add?
No, not at this point, but
All
progress.
right, progress it is. Next. Flip my paper here. Public safety, Councilwoman June 4th.
Thank you. I move the following minutes/reports to be received and filed. Municipal court reports for the month of February 2022, Board of Health, Registrar, and County reports for the month of February 2022, Police Department report for the month of 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And committee reports?
I actually want to take out this time to apologize to Councilman Roberts. I actually made an error. I did check my email again and also apologize to Councilman Conti that she actually did send out the contact information for all the police officers that she received on the day of the orientation. I would like to apologize for that. It was a glitch in my system and I do apologize. I'm sorry about that.
Anything else, Councilwoman June 4th?
Everything is progress.
Wonderful. Public Works, Councilman Conti.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor. So I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. Number 1, Public Works Supervisor's reports for building and grounds, parks, recycling, roads, and sanitation and garage services, all for the month of February 2022. All right, and then we'll need to schedule a hearing as we've received a notice from Crestview Apartment appealing the rent leveling board's percentage increase.
Okay, Mr. Dupont.
Yeah, we can do this prior to a meeting that we were regularly scheduled, like 6 o'clock. It won't take long. Yeah, April
Okay.
11th. Okay, we'll notify. We'll do this hearing on April 11th, and it's just the appeal from the rent leveling board's decision.
6 o'clock,
Yeah, 6 o'clock. It's not gonna take that long.
6:30? Do you want to do 6:30?
You know what? As long as you guys promise to read the appeal and legal arguments, that's fine.
It's in our packet, yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, let's schedule for 6:30 then. 6:30 on April 11th will be early start so we can hold that hearing.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Anything else, Councilman
Yeah.
Conti?
So a couple of things. So as I mentioned earlier about Shade Tree, they've got a lovely poetry contest that they're going to kick off for 6th graders and then I think developmentally challenged individuals as well. I asked them to post it on the Shade Tree portion of the website so that people can get involved with that. They will be handing out their seedlings on April 23rd at the Senior Center in the morning as well. So I want to just remind people about that. And then, Dan, I was hoping that somebody from the Shade Tree, I would say Mr. Rittenhouse, perhaps could at least be involved in the discussion when we talk to the Board of Ed about the tree removal. And when we get into that conversation about all that's going to go on there, I think it would just make a little bit of sense to have somebody involved in Shade Tree at the table, just to hear how the process is going to go and if they need to share any input or be advised of anything. So I'd like you to just take it under advisement at least. Okay, then second thing, there was a send-off this past weekend for the former chief, Anthony Mercado. Just wanted to thank the guys for the hospitality and thank Anthony for his service over this past year. It's been great to work with for our town, for the team and everything. I just wanted to thank him for his dedication to Sayreville. Last piece, I did bring it up at Sarah the other day about us paying for the borough planner to look at Club Pure, the $15,000. And I said, why are we paying for that? So they did assure me that the attorneys, when they write up the paperwork for the developer, they will write it up as such that the developer will reimburse us the $15,000. So they're gonna,
I appreciate, that was gonna be a question I have. Thank you.
yeah, they're gonna put it in the paperwork that it gets, we get reimbursed for that. So, yeah, so I was happy about that. That sounded good. I'll make sure that they stay the course with that too. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. Progress.
Thank you very much. Let's move on now to water and sewer and environmental. Councilman Roberts, please.
That's me. I have minutes and departmental reports, the director's report for February to file. Second. Okay, and Councilman Conti, thank you for that. That was one of the follow-ups I had for today. Excellent. Glad to hear that. I also want to let Mr. Duffy know, even though I did while we were breaking before we even started, the question about paint on markings for water and electric and all, the paint is required by the state to be maintained and be there for 30 days or more. And if the work isn't done within that 30 days, they have to remark. So they mark it well. It is water soluble, but it may take a long time to get off, and we're not going to go around and clean that up afterwards. So it has to stay there for the time being of 30 days or when the work is completed. And it stays there for a long time on purpose because the state requires that. So I hope that answered your question. And did I have anything else? Yes, I did want to again thank Chairman Beaver Bailey, and also the chairman of the Democratic Party, Mr. Polando, because we did have a great conversation about pilot programs. And I learned a lot in the past couple of years sitting here about the pilots, and the presentation we had just filled in some of the gaps and blanks. And we thought it would be great for the greater population to do it. And we didn't want it to be a partisan thing. So it's going to be a really good informational session. I'm really looking forward to that. So I want to thank both sides. I really like when we reach across the aisle, work together to do what's best for Sayreville, because when we're all up here, that's really what our jobs are. So I
You know,
just
and it's interesting too, because those recommendations come from the financial advisor, the one that we've appointed. And they, you know, like when I do things, I like to go by the professionals and I like to hear their input because they're the experts on that. And I know, I think there was NW Financial has made recommendations for pilots based on some careful analysis. So I think for residents and for us, I think it's a really good idea that you guys got together to do it, because it will enlighten everybody as to why it makes sense. And there's so many different types of pilots, and learning more about that, I think people will see, you know what? Okay, actually, this makes more sense than I thought.
I agree. And I think that we'll have a common foundation. We'll find other things to disagree about, but the foundational information will be there so we can, you know, move it to that next level.
Go purple.
Purple.
Wearing purple. For me.
I like it.
Thank you.
It's Purple
Great
party. It's the purple party. Anything else? We're going to move on then to Council President Mar with recreation.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The Recreation Department report for the month of February 2022.
Thank you.
An application for special event received from the following: to rule Arkham School to hold a prayer service on May 2nd, 2022 at Kennedy Park from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
Any objection?
Push that through. Can I just state a concern that it is during school time, and this was last year. They have it, apparently it's going to be an annual event. Maybe we can find another location for them so it doesn't impact the school parking and the traffic in that area in the future. I know that it would be too short term right now, but I will try for next year.
Yeah, I mean,
We've tried.
that is a
Soccer complex
that
where we had the
parking lot
movie.
is jammed with kids.
They like to walk around the lake.
Okay.
But if it becomes a safety issue, the Right now, I understand that it's not, it's something that can be handled. It's just something I would be a little concerned about.
I think what makes it tricky is that, and we ran into this prior to Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't make an issue of the school using the park for the students, but it's actually a major problem because you can't restrict residents from using a public park and say it's a result of using it for school parking. We've gotten hit really hard. Mr. Frankel, do you want to elaborate on that?
And just before you elaborate, it's not necessarily the student parking in Kennedy Park that I was concerned about. It was the timing, and it's right across the street. So that would not even be part of my consideration. But it is the exiting of traffic at the common time from both sides.
Yeah.
So, but yes.
Luckily, it's 1:30. Hopefully they'll be able to exit because the school gets out, the high school gets out at 2:15, 2:30, 2:12, 2:15, I think,
I'd be more
something.
concerned with in the morning.
Yeah, the morning is, well, and don't forget though, the high school goes to school at 7:15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying the middle school,
Yeah.
and, drop off there is,
Middle school students have to be in by 8 o'clock, 7:45 to 8 o'clock. So it's, there's a lot. There's a lot.
And it's not just 1,000 people. They're going to have concessions,
Mhm.
amusements also.
Yeah. How many years they've been doing this now? Quite a few. Yeah.
There were issues in the past.
Well, that's why we had the bond posting, to make sure that the cleanup and then, our guys go in there, take a look, make sure there was no like excessive damage and stuff, but.
As far as traffic issues, no, I checked in with Sergeant Braille today and there's nothing that they can't manage, he said.
No. Yeah, and they'll have officers there. So it's actually, it's quite a celebration, I have to say. I mean, and it's a good thing to turn around and be able to have as many people gather as possible and use our biggest park. So, but I do understand some of your concerns, but like I said, we've been dealing with it now for a couple of years. So we try, I think we've come up with a pretty good mitigating plan in place so that we can still hold the celebration and try to keep people safe and stuff and keep the parks open and usable. You know, it's tough, but yeah, we've been down that road. Yeah, thanks. Okay, anything else? Council President Mar?
Of course.
I know.
Oh, my phone died, and so I had to write it all down. So this is what's most important. Okay. The Rec Center Subcommittee, I haven't heard anything since last meeting. I don't know if you have plans on making a first meeting for the subcommittee.
Oh,
or-
I'm ready to go whenever you guys are. Let's turn around. Dan, do me a favor, set that up with Dave Samuel. So because it's really Dave's schedule, I think that is often the most difficult to manage. Obviously, Jay, you always join in on those as well. So let's try and set that up sooner rather than later. And then do me a favor, just send out an email to myself, Councilman Anoha, and Council President Mar. So that way we can make our calendars available, get a couple of dates.
So I'm assuming we should be doing it after 3:30, correct?
Yes, please. And Councilwoman Mar, I think that would work, and Councilman Anoha, I'm sure with advanced timing, you'd be able to make that as well. Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Council President Mar.
Okay, the banners we talked about briefly on the way in. So we're still getting permission from JCP&L. Is that where we're at with that?
That's where we're at with that. Dan, would you be able to make another copy of this? I actually put some notes on there, so we'll take those off and we'll share that with also Council President Mar so she can see that as well and get a feel for where we are. But you're in contact with JCP&L at this point to see what we can do.
The problem on that is going to be is that someone has to fill out what you want from the list that
Yes, I
is
saw
there.
that.
So if Council President Mar wants to, if I give her a copy, she said we have to fill out exactly, they're very specific.
Yeah.
Then we submit it. So whatever you want, you have to make sure, probably also have to work with Public Works because they're even certain, even down to the bolt of what you put on a pole.
I think
Okay.
more conversations also have to be had between I don't want to, I don't know if it's a Board of Education initiative or if it's more specific to just the sports teams or a particular group, the touchdown club or whatever. They really need to, I think, come up with the design of what they're looking for us to then turn around and approve or look at. Maybe we can give them this, let them propose to us what they're looking to hang, and then we can submit that.
Okay.
One of the things that I think is a question I want to make certain, we didn't agree as a council to fund this. This was something that I was under the impression that so a group from the Board of Education was looking to have these flags made or created. If there is a cost that's going to be incurred by us, that's a different thing we would have to look at because that becomes a budgetary item. Okay. So I think that's the two things to work on. So I'll get you this.
Mhm.
You can take a look at it because I started to read through it. I just received it now.
Okay.
And then I think we need to have further conversations because yeah, JCP&L is extremely specific with what they'll approve and what they won't approve.
Okay, and I
Mayor,
feel like,
I'm sorry, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but I thought also originally you were talking about only being on Main Street. And I believe the Board of Ed is also talking not just Main Street, but Washington Road. So whatever you're doing, I'm just saying this is, if it's a smaller project as a pilot project, or if it's a master project, someone has to make decisions of what you want to do.
and I think Woodbridge is currently doing this, so maybe if I reach out to someone over there and see how they have.
They had to go through the same process through JCP&L. Yeah,
Right.
they had to go through the same.
Okay,
That's,
change it.
and those are temporary. Those are removing. These would be of permanent structure. So yeah, yeah, I'm concerned if we have to, hand over a child here because they want to make sure everything is, yeah, it's just, it's extensive.
okay, the National Amusement Movie Theater, the graffiti is getting worse. It is not a good look for Sayreville when you come over the bridge and that's the first thing you see. Mr. Frankel I spoke with, and he said he reached out to them and they're having a meeting on Wednesday to hopefully address the issue.
I will tell you that they believe it's almost an impossible task not to have graffiti on that building. So one of the things I believe they're meeting about is actually to raise the building.
Okay,
What's the implication if they knock down that building? I know that
The-
right now we collect taxes based on not just the property, but the building itself.
There will probably be about approximately a $70,000 loss of revenue.
and if they don't raise the building, can't we issue a code violation for?
I think that's what they're probably saying is go
I-
ahead and issue us the violation. We'll just knock down the building
Right.
and lose 70 grand. So,
Well, I know I'm not the only one horrified by this, and I
Oh,
think
it's
at some
disgusting.
point, to Ms. Kilcummin's point, we have to put our foot down and we have to expect more to preserve the integrity of our town.
I don't disagree. It's disgusting. I think what the council's going to have to decide is, I think they're going to make it abundantly clear to us. You can turn around and hit us with fees. And they're going to turn around and say, no problem. We'll knock down the building. You're going to lose $70,000 in taxes. So that's what the council, I think, will have to decide. Do we want to hit them? Because then we're not going to collect the fees because they're not going to be in violation. They're just going to knock down the building and we'll lose the 70 grand. I mean, something to consider. I mean,
Well, I don't want to see the rest of our buildings in town follow, so my opinion's one opinion, but I would be okay with that.
yeah. Just how soon do you want them to knock it down? Do you want them to knock it down when they're ready for build, which is then we would recoup the money based on new build? Or do you want them to knock it down now and then we lose the money and have to wait for their new build? I think, yeah, that's why I said the council's gonna have to,
And we could be waiting for years. they could be dragging us on for years.
Maybe,
Yeah. That's why that's what you guys, that's the tough decisions of the council. How do you want it to go? You know, but I think it's important to know the ramifications of the decisions before you make them. When's that meeting? You said Wednesday?
I believe they said a meeting on Wednesday, yes.
They're meeting on Wednesday. Anybody, are you going to be on that call or they're just going to?
No, it's an internal, that's an internal call.
Okay, so they could turn around and just tell us they're going to knock it down anyway.
I actually have a question, please, and I'm not sure if it's in reference to recreation, but when you're coming off the bridge into Sayreville, it really smells really bad. By the movie theater, it stinks so bad. Is there something that the council can do? Because it's bad. It smelled like New York entering into New Jersey. It's the
The combination
Can you do
of
something
things.
as a council? I don't know.
Very big air fresheners.
Yeah. That's the water
I don't mean that to be
department.
trite.
Oh, that's-
Water department can attack that.
I don't know who I was supposed to ask. I just wanted to know, can we do something? I'm concerned about the fish life
Yeah.
and the restaurants around that area.
Oh, tides. Welcome to Sayreville.
When it comes to the movie theater, there was someone who had offered to paint over that if it was okay with the owners. Do it just as, you know, a service. And the other thing that they had asked about the theater is if they could go in and reclaim some relics from the theater, seats, posters, anything that might still be there. And I know, Dan, I think you were gonna reach out at one point.
I did reach out and they don't feel it's safe for anybody to go into the building.
Yeah, the fire department has deemed it unsafe.
If, again, I think that's somebody that has to be insurance bonded. If you think there's somebody that we want to approach as a volunteer, they would volunteer to whitewash the building. I think, but they did not, I don't think they looked favorably on that because they think it's just going to be, I think it's going to happen again. So they're trying to, I think internally they're trying to come up with a resolution, but I think right now is that they don't think there is. I mean, except by putting up a 15-foot fence with barbed wire or something like that. I don't know if that's a solution.
I don't think barbed wire is not legal. here.
For some suggestions or ideas. I know obviously a lot of people would like to see something positive happen there until they're ready to move on.
I think that's something also that the council people who are on Sarah should maybe come up with some ideas. Because that's probably a redevelopment project.
And said that, you know, he would like, if they would give him permission, he would like to paint. So it wasn't like it was like, of course, you really need their permission, otherwise you trust.
I think if the gentleman, maybe, I don't know who he is. I don't know if he has insurance. I don't know if we can, I think they're concerned about, again, like any private owner would be of a property, entering their property, what could happen, things like that. But if he would come forward and maybe wants to talk to me and maybe he can get insurance and maybe they would consider something like that, we can approach the owners are approachable. I don't talk directly to the owners. I talk to the owner's representative. So.
Okay, just a plug, and we have a Board of Ed member here with us tonight. Dr. Labby and the Board of Ed announced the schools referendum. Our kids deserve better. Our kids, their buildings, our schools need to be improved. Our teachers need a contract. Our teachers qualify for affordable housing in town. Our kids deserve better. We're losing good teachers to other towns that are getting poached for higher salaries. So our kids deserve better and our teachers deserve better. At the end, again, reminder to take a picture for Women's History Month to memorialize our history in the making. Elise, I did reach out to her about the recycle cans with lids. She said, unfortunately, we can't do it this contract because we're in the middle of a contract with the county. So that won't be even a conversation until this contract ends, unfortunately. So that was disappointing. Kennedy Park is still missing a bus shelter, Dan. I just wanted to let you know so you could follow up on that. April 1st is the deadline for the community garden plots. We then will move forward with building the plots and having our grand opening. And Dan, any update to remove the trailers from Kennedy Park that attract graffiti? I know you were in talks, or Brian
Trailers
was in
at-
talks.
I'm sorry, Kennedy or at?
Kennedy Park has 2 trailers from the Morgan Panthers. Brian was
Who's talking, I believe, yeah,
talking
they
to
have
the
electric,
junior-
they have electric in them.
Yeah, and we were trying to get them out of there to.
Yeah, I'd have to get a report from Brian. I don't have that report.
Okay.
I'll get a report for you.
All right, and that's all I have. Progress.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'll keep it brief. Go ahead.
Are those people still using Arbor Park?
Yeah.
My understanding is you're using that until the middle of April,
Till April.
the middle of April. We're getting the PSG improvements that they told us they were going to do. We're getting all those improvements. The high pressured lines to help the gas lines.
They're paving.
Where are they working now?
I think it makes it a little bit safer for the residents. And I think also is that it probably also lowers the cost to the residents for having these lines and more efficient.
I really think that we should. It seems to me public service standard. Really does. Who gave you permission to? Was that a council vote?
I think we did.
I mean,
I-
residents have been complaining that.
I think the council, they came here, when they gave their pitch, I believe the council, they did say they needed a place like a staging area. And I,
Do check on that, please, Jessica. I don't remember hearing. The residents over there are very complaining. I don't like school buses.
All right. Here we go. I'll keep mine brief. I have one announcement, and it's not in Saraville that this event is happening, but anytime that we can turn around and help our veterans or just honoring our heroes, this is actually coming through a former Saraville resident, John Bon Jovi. So it does have a tie here. He's coming home in a way. So this is actually an event that's being held in Port Monmouth. It is called the Honoring Heroes event, and it's part of their Feeding Our Heroes program. This is going to include feeding and 400 veterans with, ready for this, I'm actually thinking I'm gonna head over there, meeting celebrity chef Guy Fieri, who I watch all the time on diners, drive-ins and dives and so forth. And again, this is at Port Monmouth. This is on April 1st for anybody interested in going. I know that the governor is also going to be there. It's a wonderful event to turn around and actually volunteer your time. I don't want you to go there just for the celebrity component of it, but at least to turn around and help those that have helped us and help those who have provided us the freedoms and liberties that we live under and that we enjoy to this day. It is at the VFW, April 1st, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. VFW Post 2179, and it's on 1 Veterans Lane. You can't ask for an easier address than that. So I just want to say thank you. So this is through the Soup Kitchen 411. Maybe we can find a way to post that somewhere, because as a town that honors our veterans as well as we do, I think it's always nice to turn around and give a helping hand for those individuals that want to make that trek out. I want to thank Mr. Dupont for sharing that with me as well, because
Just for everyone's edification, so I've been working on this for the past 4 or 5 months, like 6 months. So as many of you know, my father graduated from the Naval Academy. He's buried at the Naval Academy. He served in Vietnam, Laos, on hardship tours, and there's a need. There's a need, and this I am proud that I serve here in Saraville. I know that the veterans are very well supported here. And so this is, I will not be on the front stage. I will be in the back cleaning dishes or cleanup. I am not a very good cook. I will say that now. I order really well. But I encourage everyone who knows a veteran that you notify them. We will also be delivering food to veterans who are shut in. So if you know anyone who needs a food assistance, there is a food scarcity within our veterans in our community. And if you could spread the word, that'd be great. But again, it's for veterans, it's feeding veterans, and it's feeding those veterans who are shut in. So if there are individuals who who want a food, hot meal. And it's Guy Fieri will be teaching me the basic skills of cooking, which I have failed on many years. I'm never too late, but again, just spread the word. It's this Friday, April 1st. There is no April Fool's joke about it. It's real. Food scarcity is real. Food insecurity is real. So if you could spread the word to all of your veterans who you live with or who you know, that would be great. And I want to just thank the mayor and council for spreading the word on this in a great community.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Mike, and keep us posted because you do you're involved in a lot of things, and I know that there'll be additional.
I do that, but the good Lord, as he says, doesn't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing. So again, and we have a pastor here, so they can, if I misquoted, you can certainly correct me. But again, I think that we're all here to serve, and every one of you are a perfect example of service. You're up here serving to your community. So again, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mike. With that, you're on, Dan. Business Administrators Report. Let's
Thank
keep
you,
it
Mayor. Authorization for Sarah to proceed with a new RFP process for Sayreville Landfill Number 3.
Any objections, please feel free to make comment as Mr. Frankel goes through his report.
Authorization to call for a certified list for patrolmen from the Department of Personnel. Authorization to award a contract to Starfire Corporation for the 2022 Independence Day fireworks display to be held on July 2nd, 2022, with a rain date of July 3, 2022. Authorization to increase the fees for the following programs: 5-day sports camps, resident 140, non-resident 165, 4-day sports camps, resident 110, non-resident 135. Authorization to establish the following recreation program and fees associated with said programs: youth sports camps, 5 days, 1 week program, residents 179, non-residents 204. Youth sports programs weekly for 6 weeks, residents $99, non-residents $124. Yet. I believe it's 10. I believe it's $10. Not a percent. I believe it's $10. Authorization to promote Jeff Downs to water treatment plant operator, license effective April 1st, 2022. Authorization to use $1,400,000 of the ARPA money for the reconstruction of the water main on Journey Mill Road in conjunction with Middlesex County to improve the Journey Mill Culvert project. Authorization to appoint Mike Klossick as a water meter reader in the Water Department effective April 16th, 2022.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that report. CFO's report.
Nothing, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Borough Engineer Jay Cornell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One item, at the last meeting, you asked us to review a letter requesting a release for the bonds for Gillette Towers. We did that. We provided a report. While that work's been completed, recommending the bond be released, subject to posting a 2-year maintenance bond. So we need a resolution at the next meeting to do that.
All right, please prepare that for us, Jess, and we're ready to go. Thank you very much, Jay. Borough Attorney, anything?
No report, Mayor, no need for exec.
Wonderful. Public portion at this time. If anybody has something to add, 5 minutes limit. There's not many here. Come on up, George.
George Gavin, 23 Thompson Place, Parlin. I'm just going to give you a little history here tonight. January 1, 1922, the Melrose Hose Company #1 was formed. We are celebrating 100 years of dedicated service to the borough of Sayreville. And I'd just like to say I'm proud to have served 40 of them years and still going strong.
Certificate for that. It's 100. Did you say 100? 100, not 40, 100. But he served for 40. So, yes. George, they said when you serve 100 years, we'll do a certificate. Are you okay with that? I'm pushing for just 10 more. I'm just saying. I'm going for 50, but the ladies are tough. Thank you, George. Thank you for your service too.
Anybody else in the public? Oh, Jim Robinson.
Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square. I wasn't going to bring this up this evening, but Councilman Conti talked about the Shade Tree Commission, a number of trees that'll be removed for the bus depot, and Councilwoman Mayor brought up the community center. And as you know.
Can you get a little closer to your mic? Jim, are you on the phone or are you on the computer?
I'm on a computer. Hear me now, Mayor?
Yeah, it is better. It just sounded like you were far away. It sounded a little like mumbled.
Getting late and I'm getting lazy, I guess.
I hear you. Go ahead, Jim. I hear you better now.
You know, I was very happy that the school board and the council and the mayor agreed to work together for the bus depot. I did have a little concern about the spot that was chosen. The spot that what was chosen wasn't their first choice. As we know, their first choice was the other site on Cheesequake Road. And I think the borough was kind of steering them away from that spot to the spot that is immediately behind the junior high and the high school, because the town wants the other spot for the community center. I got a call this weekend. In fact, I got a satellite photo sent to me this weekend by a former mayor of Saraville who called me, who too was concerned about the fact that the community center is going to go near Bordentown Avenue and the bus depot and the DPW garage are going to go right behind the high school and the junior high, or closer to high school and junior high. And he said to me, the operative word in community center is center. And he was reinforcing what I believe, that the community center ought to be in the center of town, near the schools and near the library. And I just wanted to get some clarity on how it was determined where the community center would go. Because I don't recall any public discussions on that. There might have been some committee discussions or some private discussions or things like that. But how was that determined? And what is the status of that? When we talk about the community center, which I support, which I think is a great thing. I've been to community centers, a lot of towns, they're wonderful. The one in Woodbridge is fantastic. I'd love to see something like that in town, if it's located in the right area. But so how was it determined where that would go to the exclusion of other things? And what are we talking about time-wise? Are we talking a year, 2 years, 3 years? You know, that's
I
what
think
I'm
you're
trying
getting
to
a
get
little
my-
far ahead of the plan. Because I think that the former two council people that were here, which was Mr. Councilman Delina and Councilman Enriquez, were also part of those discussions. And I think everything is very preliminary. But one of the things that you, I think, probably heard a few minutes ago, or maybe 15 minutes ago, was that there's currently a subcommittee now with Council President Marr, Councilman Anoha, and myself will be meeting with Dave Samuel as soon as his schedule is open and clear. So that way we can turn around and bring more ideas to the council and bring more ideas to the public. So I think you're a little ahead of the game with some of your questions.
Well, let me ask this then. Has a site been in fact determined?
No, just nothing's been officially determined.
Okay, but I thought and maybe I misunderstood. I thought the reason that the Board of Education couldn't put its transportation garage, and ultimately could have been a transportation garage and DPW garage, couldn't put it at the southern Cheesequake area, was because there were folks who wanted that for the community center. Did I misunderstand that?
I think that Council President Marr, wasn't that one of the ideas that we discussed, right? That was a preliminary thing, and I think that there's a lot of reasons why it may make sense. Go ahead, Mr. Frankel, go ahead.
Mr. Robinson, when Mr. Delina and Mr. Enriquez were on that subcommittee, one of the things that was discussed in the subcommittee was the potential, not that it's just, again, the potential that that site would be included as a campus setting with the Center for Lifelong Learning. It is adjacent. That's a possibility. It keeps the flexibility of the borough that could possibly happen. And that's the reason why that we didn't want to give up the flexibility if the borough wanted to go to that site, if the borough wanted to make a campus with the Center for Lifelong Learning. If those things happen, we would lose our flexibility. That's one of the reasons that came out of the original subcommittee.
The Center for Lifelong Learning is actually closer to where the DPW garage or where the bus depot is going to go, isn't it? And
It's across the street. It's across the street, sir.
Great. It's across the street.
You know, if you don't mind, Mr. Robinson,
thank you.
I think overall, which was expressed and, you know, with our meeting with the Board of Education was, and what the business administration is highlighting is the flexibility of that property for the borough. And moreover, you know, those who are expressing that there's a need for a community center to be, you know, very close to the high school and the library, although it does make sense and, you know, it shouldn't be contested really. But even when you consider the likes of Woodbridge's community center, which is very nice, no doubt, that also is miles away from their high school and from their library. You know, so the truth of the matter is that it's definitely possible to develop a standard state-of-the-art community center that is not next to the high school or other public grounds, which you also just mentioned in regards to communities, to Woodbridge's community center, sir, you know? So I really like you to consider that, you know, whoever is giving this information that, you know, it should be a center in the center of the town. You mentioned other towns that really don't follow that model and yet they have a standard facility, all right?
And there's still the possibility that piece of property that the bus transportation complex we decided on is 74 acres and they are only using 7 of them on the Cheesequake Road. So the
Which is more
property that
flexibility.
butts up against the high school property could still be used.
Right. So I think it boils down to the flexibility of it.
And I think the community center, which is probably going to be larger if it's done in phases, would actually require more deforestation of the site that the bus depot is actually on than what we'd be looking to do. And I think part of the discussions when the previous council people were here was actually holding on to the integrity of that field as well, which was also something that was important. So I do think that there is a lot of good that came out of that meeting. And I think that it was actually a very smarter move than what we may have all realized as we can continue to consider some of those sites. Jay, did you have anything else to add to that?
I know that the cost associated with the Board of Ed using the property closer to their facility was an issue. In order to build a road to get from the high school parking lot to the borough property, that would impact some of their existing fields. And they were saying they couldn't do that because they didn't have to build a field someplace else. So there's a cost issue as well with providing access to that part of the property.
So if the community center was even placed there, that would pose for,
You'd have the same issue if a community center was there. You'd be impacting the Board of Ed fields, and you may have to not only build a community center, but build additional field to compensate for what's being lost.
right, thank you for that too, Jay. So I hope that answers some of your questions, Jim, but hopefully we'll have more information because we're going to be setting up that subcommittee meeting with Mr. Samuel in the very, very near future so we can bring more. I just love that we're finally having true discussions about this and that it's no longer just an idea, but we're actually starting to, you know, hopefully put pen to paper and have something a little bit more concrete.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate all of those comments, and I hope that at some point in time, the meetings on the community center will be public so that.
Of course.
representatives of the public can have input.
Of course.
Thank you very much for all the comments.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else from the public? With that, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Is it- All in favor? It's funny how I never have to call for the motion to adjourn. That one always comes without prompting. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night.